Chapter 346. After searching Lu Jiefen's soul, Ning Fan showed no mercy and immediately found out Lu Jiefen's whereabouts. In the Star Palace, Lu Jiefen had already returned to the Demon Sealing Hall with serious injuries. As soon as he returned to the hall, he immediately went into seclusion to treat his injuries. If Lu Jiefen finds out that his subordinates are going against Ning Fan, he will certainly be the first one to stop them. Who is Ning Fan? That was a ruthless being whose combat power was comparable to a half-step Void Refinement Realm expert. Moreover, he had 2 half-step Void Refinement Realm corpse puppets with him. After witnessing Ning Fan's strength, even if Lu Jiefen was given 10,000 times more courage, he would not dare to make Ning Fan his enemy. However, when he returned to the Demon Sealing Sect this time, Lu Jiefen immediately went into seclusion. He did not know that Zigu wanted to assassinate Ning Fan at all. That was why Daoist Purple Gu dared to join the Ming Assassin Alliance to hunt down Ning Fan. He really wanted to see what kind of explanation Lu Jiefen would give him after he annihilated the alliance of Ming assassins. On the other side, Ning Fan was searching their souls and killing them. On the other side, the old monster's minds were in chaos. He was Zhou Ming. He was back. The old eccentric's hearts trembled, but they retreated even faster, bidding their farewells and leaving. It was as if staying here for even a moment longer would cause them to lose their lives to Zhou Ming. Yang Gu's white brows furrowed. His temperament was amiable, and he did not like demonic cultivators who cultivated the path of slaughter. Seeing Ning Fan killing Yellow-Toothed Man with a wave of his hand, Yang Gu also bade farewell and left. However, he was stopped by Ning Fan. "Fellow Yang, please wait." "What? What advice does fellow Daoist Zhou have for me? Could it be that you're so happy with killing that you want to kill this old man on Pleasure Devil Island as well?" Fellow Daoist Yang misunderstands. "I heard that you're from the Pill Island. I would like to ask for a pill formula from you." "Pill recipe? What pill recipe?" "The pill formulas of my Pill Island are never sold to the outside world." "Humph, or are you trying to kill me and rob me of my treasures in this place, old ancestor Mingzuan?" Yang Gu was displeased. As a great scholar, his temperament was normally gentle, but he had a type of arrogance that wouldn't be subdued by others. At this moment, there were no outsiders in the hall, and only Yang Gu, Su Russian, and the others remained. If Ning Fan wants to kill Yang Gu would have no chance of winning since he has the advantage in numbers. However, Yang Gu was not afraid at all. Daoist Yang has misunderstood. Ning Fan shook his head expressionlessly. He was not a person who would kill indiscriminately. The Yellow-Toothed Man had the Tao of Death. However, this Yang Gu had come from afar to treat Su Qiuling's illness out of goodwill. Ning Fan would not kill such a person indiscriminately. After dispersing all of his aura, Ning Fan cupped his fists towards Yang Gu with a smile. His smile made Yang Gu dumbfounded. Strange, the infamous devil Zhou Ming actually smiled and was polite to a stubborn old man like Yang Gu. "I have a way to cure Qiuling's illness. I can make sure that her gold qi will be replenished and her cultivation base will improve greatly. However, the treatment process is a little overbearing and will hurt her mind. I'm afraid that Qiuling's gold core won't be able to withstand it. I need some pain-relieving pills. I've long heard that there's a pill recipe on your island called the Heart-Nourishing Pill. It's a 5th revolution pill that can nourish a cultivator's mind. I want this pill formula." "What? You want the Heart-Nourishing Pill formula?" Yang Gu was shocked. He was not shocked by Ning Fan's overbearing manner in asking for pill formulas. Instead, he was shocked by the profound meaning behind Ning Fan's words. Ning Fan's tone made it seem as if saving Su Qiuling would be a piece of cake. Ning Fan's tone made it seem as if refining the heart-nourishing pill was a piece of cake. Yang Gu's heart shuddered. Could it be that this great devil Zhou Ming is not only a murderous devil but also a grandmaster in the Tao of pill refinement? Is he a 5th revolution pill refinement master? However, even a 5th revolution pill refinement master would not be able to cure Su Qiuling. Yang Gu carefully scrutinized Ning Fan. When he saw that Ning Fan's bone age was less than 400 years old, he immediately shook his head. Young. Ning Fan is too young. Attaining the divine transformation realm before reaching 400 years old means that he has a heaven-defying aptitude. However, it was impossible for him to attain the fifth revolution pill refinement realm at the age of 400 years old unless he was a genius of the Tao of pill refinement in the upper world who had been nurtured since young. As for Ning Fan, all the rumors about him indicated that he did not have any background. He was just a rogue cultivator. It was already heaven-defying for a rogue cultivator to attain the divine transformation realm at the age of 400 years old to attain the fifth revolution pill refinement realm. Fellow Taoist Zhou, medical skills aren't child's play. Yang Gu was displeased. From his point of view, Ning Fan and Wang Wei were the same kind of people. Both of them were young and full of vigor. Just because they knew a little about pill refinement, they thought that their medical skills were extraordinary. This kind of mentality was unacceptable. I agree with fellow Taoist Yang's words. Medical skills aren't child's play. A slight misdiagnosis could lead to the death of a patient. As a teacher, we must not mislead our students. As a doctor, we must not lose our conscience. Ning Fan did not argue with Yang Gu. He just nodded at Dong Su, Su Russian, Yan Zhongzi and Yu Long. Then, he slowly walked towards the lady whom he had not seen for many years. I'm back. It was a very simple sentence. However, when Su Qiling heard it, it made her heart ache even more. It's good that you're back. Ah! She suddenly let out a cry and covered her mouth with her white hand. However, her other wrist was held by Ning Fan's hand. What are you doing? There are so many people here. Su Qiling's sickly face turned slightly red. It was filled with embarrassment and anger. Since when did I allow Ning Fan to touch my wrist? Nothing much. I'm just feeling my pulse. Medicine soul, appear. Ning Fan withdrew all of his baleful qi. His expression was solemn and his eyes glowed with traces of green light. His entire body was enveloped by a layer of green qi. All of a sudden, his aura changed drastically. Just a moment ago, he was still a ferocious devil filled with killing intent. In the next moment, he was already a pill refinement grandmaster who was brimming with medicine qi. Medicine soul. Su Qiling's beautiful eyes sparkled while Su Russian, Yan Zhongzi, and the others were stunned. It was self-evident what a medicine soul meant. Those who possess a medicine soul must be fifth revolution pill refinement masters. Ning Fan was using his medicine soul to feel Su Qiling's pulse. Hiss! Yang Gu sucked in a breath of cold air. He never thought that a person who was not even 400 years old could attain the fifth revolution pill refinement realm. However, Ning Fan, who was standing in front of him, did it. Previously, he looked down on Ning Fan. He hated him for boasting and looking down on pill refinement techniques. Now that he thought about it, he realized that Ning Fan was not looking down on pill refinement techniques. It was obvious that his pill refinement techniques were profound and he was full of confidence in treating Su Qiling. Be fellow Taoist Zhou, you're actually a fifth revolution pill refinement master. Please forgive this old man for not recognizing you earlier. If I have offended you with my words, please forgive me. Yang Gu cupped his fists. He would not be subdued by power. However, in front of a grandmaster whose pill refinement techniques were better than his, he was willing to lower his head and bow to him. Yang Gu was still a step away from attaining the fifth revolution realm. However, Ning Fan was already at the fifth revolution and his pill refinement mastery was even higher than Yang Gu's. Yang Gu's expression was filled with admiration. The way he looked at Ning Fan was like how he was looking at a senior in the Tao of pill. A fifth revolution pill refinement master who was not even 400 years old. Even if he was a venerated pill, he would only be at the fourth revolution when he was 400 years old. This undoubtedly showed that Ning Fan's innate talent in the Tao of pill was much better than venerated pill. It was highly possible for him to break through to the sixth or seventh revolution in his lifetime. Hee hee. Fellow Taoist Yang is just stating facts. How am I offending you? Besides, fellow Taoist Yang has come all the way from the internal endless sea to treat Qiling's illness. I appreciate your kind intentions. If fellow Taoist Yang is willing to give me the pill formula of the heart-nourishing pill, I will exchange it with the heart chant to condense my medicine soul. Ning Fan's tone was calm, but Yang Gu's eyes immediately burned with passion. Given Yang Gu's temperament, it was rare for him to show such a gaze. However, Ning Fan's words made him unable to remain calm. The heart chant to condense your medicine soul. Fellow Taoist Zhou, do you really want to exchange this item for the heart-nourishing pill formula? Yang Gu found it a little hard to believe. To ordinary fifth revolution pill refinement masters, condensing their medicine soul was just like crossing a river by groping for the stones. How could there be any heart chant? If there was a heart chant, wouldn't everyone have the chance to break through to the fifth revolution? To some pill refinement clans that had existed for millions of years, they might have inherited the heart chant to condense their medicine soul. However, all of these heart chants were the secrets of their clans. None of them would be taught to outsiders. Even the 9 fifth revolution pill refinement masters of the Pill Island and the venerated pill refinement masters of the Pill Dao did not have the heart chant to condense their medicine soul. Ning Fan actually had it. Could it be that this Ning Fan is a talented disciple of some pill refinement clan? The pill formula of the heart-nourishing pill might be precious, but the heart chant to condense a medicine soul could not be measured by the word precious. The rule of the Pill Dao was that pill formulas were not allowed to be taught to outsiders. However, who said that the established rules could not be broken? If any old monster in the Pill Dao were to make a deal with Ning Fan here, they would be extremely happy to exchange a pill formula for the soul condensation secret. Yang Gu did not hesitate at all. He immediately took out a green pill formula and flicked it to Ning Fan, as if he was afraid that Ning Fan would go back on his words. Ning Fan could not help but chuckle and shake his head. He scanned the pill formula with his spirit sense and confirmed that there was nothing wrong with it. Then, he took out a jade slip and briefly imprinted the heart chant to condense a medicine soul on it. This heart chant originated from the pill refinement technique that Shi Ran taught him. It was the secret technique of the Profound Medicine clan. Of course, it was impossible for Ning Fan to give Yang Gu the complete heart chant. What he gave him was just 1/10 of the heart chant. It was only the rough method to condense a soul. In that case, even if this technique is leaked to the public, it would not expose the secret technique of the Profound Medicine clan. In Ning Fan's eyes, 1/10 of the incomplete heart chant was not worth mentioning. However, in Yang Gu's eyes, this 1/10 of the heart chant was nearly more precious than his old life. This is actually the heart chant to condense a medicine soul. Even though the heart chant is incomplete, it is undoubtedly thousands of times more brilliant than pill refinement cultivators like us who only know how to make a breakthrough. With this technique, my Pill Island will certainly produce a few more 5th revolution pill masters within 1,000 years. Moreover, it won't take me too long to break through to the 5th revolution. Yang Gu swallowed his saliva and stared at Ning Fan. He felt that the latter was becoming more and more unfathomable. Originally, Yang Gu was certain that Su Qiuling was incurable and that she would die within 10 years. He did not believe that Ning Fan could save her. At this moment, he had great confidence in Ning Fan. He faintly felt that Ning Fan had the ability to save this lady. I want to stay on the Pleasure Devil Island for a while longer to see how fellow Taoist Zhou concoct the heart-nourishing pill and treat Miss Su's illness. Is that possible? Of course. However, if that's the case, aren't you afraid of being hunted down by the alliance of Ming assassins? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Of course, he was willing to use some benefits to rope him in. Alliance of Ming assassins? Humph. Why should I be afraid of them? I am a half-step 5th revolution pill master after all. As long as I raise my arm and call for help, there will be at least 6 to 7 divine transformation realm cultivators in the internal sea willing to protect me. As for fellow Taoist Zhou, you are a true 5th revolution pill master. Judging from your medicine soul, you are not far from breaking through to the mid-5th revolution. With your pill refinement mastery, it won't be difficult for you to summon 10 divine transformation realm cultivators just by raising your arm and calling for help. What's the Alliance of Ming Assassins? Yang Gu did not put the Alliance of Ming Assassins in his eyes at all. An assassin organization that has a divine transformation realm old ancestor. Such words were only meant to scare the nascent soul realm juniors. To a high-grade pill refinement master who had a good relationship with others, the Alliance of Ming Assassins was nothing. If the Alliance of Ming Assassins dares to attack fellow Daoist Zhou, I am willing to help you and fight together. Yang Gu said straightforwardly. Ning Fan had given him such a great benefit. Of course, he knew how to repay his kindness. Su Yan and Yang Gu were stunned by what they saw. Who was Yang Gu? He was a pill refinement master that even ordinary divine transformation realm cultivators had to treat with respect. A pill refinement master of this level was actually convinced by Ning Fan with just a few words. Moreover, Yang Gu was even willing to help Ning Fan fight against the Alliance of Ming Assassins. 20 years ago, Ning Fan could only let Su Yan and Yang Gu treat him as their peers. 20 years later, Ning Fan could make those whom Su Yan and Yang Gu did not dare to offend bow their heads to him. Su Qiling's eyes lit up. The man whom she fancied was indeed extraordinary. I have always believed that if you return, you will certainly be able to cure me. I have been waiting for you. Su Qiling unconsciously revealed her affection. Don't worry. I am here. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with confidence. He would certainly cure Su Qiling. On the Sword Island of the Eternal Endless Sea. A one-armed middle-aged man who carried a heavy black iron sword descended on the island like a ray of sword light. The moment it landed, the Sword Island's grand formation, Mortal Void Grade Grand Formation collapsed in an instant. The 14 million ancient swords buried in the island all let out trembling sounds of fear. Countless experts on the island soared into the sky. They stared at the white-robed middle-aged man in disbelief. Even Venerated Sword, who had a half-step void refinement realm cultivation base, felt like his sword intent was going to collapse under the gaze of that white-robed middle-aged man. This man's sword Dao cultivation base is really strong. I want the broken immortal trapping sword. The white-robed middle-aged man's expression was full of vicissitudes. His face was full of stubble and his eyes were empty. His long hair was loose and half of it had already turned white. He did not seem to like talking much. He only uttered a sentence indifferently to state his purpose of coming. However, what he said immediately aroused the anger of countless experts on the island. How dare you? Who are you? How dare you break the grand formation of my Sword Island and seize my island's treasure, the broken immortal trapping sword? Don't you know about the agreement between Thunder's Sovereign Buzhou and the Rain Palace? Are you trying to anger Lord Thunder Sovereign? However, before the group of experts of the island could finish speaking, Venerated Sword suddenly waved his hand and shouted in a deep voice, stopping everyone from speaking. Shut up. No one on the island dared to make any noise after he said shut up. It was enough to show Venerated Sword's prestige. Someone, bring the broken immortal trapping sword and give it to this senior. Venerated Sword sighed helplessly. What? That's the supreme treasure of our island. If we lose it, the density of the sword's spiritual chi on the island will decrease by at least 60%. The cultivation speed of all the disciples on the island will be greatly reduced. Many elders objected. However, all of them were silenced by Venerated Sword's next sentence. This person is the white-robed sword god, Yun Tianjue. Venerated Sword sighed and did not explain further. He only reported the name of the white-robed swordsman. But when the name was announced, everyone on the island revealed an incomparably terrified expression. White-robed sword god. Yun Tianjue. We understand. Lord Venerated Sword, we will go get the broken immortal trapping sword now. None of the elders said anything else. There were some people who didn't need to explain anything to you if they wanted something. They could just come to your sect and report their name and you wouldn't dare to disobey them. The old devil was once that kind of expert. This white-robed swordsman was also that kind of expert. Not long after, a few elders of Sword Island brought a broken sword wrapped in a blue cloth and handed it to the white-robed swordsman. The white-robed swordsman received the sword. He did not open the cloth and only took a casual glance at it. Immediately, he frowned. A piece of the sword blade is missing. He didn't like to talk much. This sentence was naturally to ask for the missing sword blade from Sword Island. Reporting to Senior. This missing piece of the sword blade was taken by a friend of mine to help his disciple suppress the golden chi in his lifeline. Whoosh. Before Venerated Sword could finish speaking, the white-robed swordsman's sword flashed and disappeared from everyone's eyes. Even with Venerated Sword's cultivation, he couldn't see the speed clearly. He is Yuntianjue. The sword devil who forgets his heart and forgets his emotions. Venerated Sword swallowed his saliva. If this white-robed swordsman was angered, he could flatten the entire Sword Island with a single sword strike. Chapter 347. The news of Ning Fan's return had spread across the entire external Endless Sea at a terrifying speed overnight. In the Yingzhou Immortal Island and the Ming Assassin Alliance, as soon as they heard that Ning Fan had broken through to the Divine Transformation Realm, at least 30% of the forces left the Alliance and tried their best to distance themselves from it. They were afraid of Ning Fan's ferocious reputation. They could not imagine how fearless he would be in killing people after breaking through to the Divine Transformation Realm. These were all stories to be told later. The Rising Phoenix stage had been rebuilt a long time ago. 20 years ago, Ning Fan had caused a massacre here. 20 years later, the wind and snow here were still the same, and the old people were already gone. On the bronze platform, Ning Fan, Dong Su, Su Yan and the others were sitting around a fireplace. They were chatting while warming their wine. Most of their topics were about the changes in the external Endless Sea. Su Yan and the others had asked Ning Fan about his experiences in the past 20 years, but Ning Fan did not mention a single word about them. Su Qiling was like a newly married wife. She warmed the wine for Ning Fan at the side with a gentle and respectful expression. Behind Ning Fan, Yulong's eyes were filled with fanaticism and admiration. In the past, when he was taken in as Ning Fan's servant, he had complained incessantly. Now, however, it seemed like becoming Ning Fan's servant was the greatest opportunity in his life. Yulong's master was not an ordinary person. He was a Divine Transformation Realm patriarch, a person who could drink wine with the 7 venerables of the Internal Sea. What they were drinking was a type of spirit wine called Drunken Past Dust, which was brewed by Dong Su using hundreds of flowers. It was known for its great capacity for alcohol. Those who did not have enough magic power would definitely not be able to drink much. An early-stage nascent soul cultivator would be drunk for a month after drinking 1 drop. An early-stage soul formation ancestral patriarch could drink 10 bottles at most. After drinking 11 cups, Su and Yen left with bitter smiles. They had to immediately return to their closed-door training to refine the alcohol, otherwise they would be drunk for a month. After Su Yan and Dong Su left, Yulong also received Ning Fan's permission to return to the mysterious Emerald Palace to rest. Only Ning Fan and Dong Su were left on the Phoenix Ascension platform. For the entire night, until dawn, the two of them were not drunk at all. This made Su Qiling secretly surprised. She had already endlessly overestimated Ning Fan. However, she had never expected that he would be able to drink with her half-step Void Refinement Realm Master for an entire night without losing the upper hand. Su Qiling lazily lifted her sleeves to cover her face and yawned sleepily. She stared at Ning Fan and gradually became infatuated with him. 20 years of waiting was worth it for tonight. The 10 jars of drunken former dust were all drunk. Dong Su was no longer in a drunken mood. He laughed heartily and returned to rest. As for Ning Fan, he kept the storage pouch that Dong Su had given him. With a wave of his magic power, all the tipsiness and drunkenness disappeared. What good things did Master give you? Su Qiling's bright eyes flickered. Some puppets, some pills, some immortal jades, some heavenly dwelling treasures. Of course, there are also some insights on how to refine heavenly dwelling treasures. Your master said that these are your dowry. Ning Fan stood up and stretched his body comfortably. His bones emitted a crisp sound like popping beans. He shook off the snow on his shoulders. Even though he sounded relaxed, the things that Dong Su had given him were definitely valuable. All of them were the benefits that he had promised Ning Fan in the past. 1,000 grotto heaven treasures, each of them could be sold for more than 1,000,000 immortal jades. 17 soul formation puppets, 10 at the early stage, 4 at the middle stage, 2 at the late stage, and 1 at the peak stage. There were 50 bottles of peak 4th revolution profound essence pills, and each bottle contained 20 pills. Each pill could increase the magic power of a peak nascent soul cultivator by 1 unit. Apart from that, there was also the Heart of Mother Earth which was given to him by Su Rushan through Dong Su. These items were definitely valuable. Ning Fan would remember Dong Su's kindness in his heart. I will cure chilling. Don't worry. Ning Fan seemed to be talking to the wind and snow. However, he knew that Su Rushan and Dong Su were waiting for this promise. Just as Ning Fan was talking to the wind and snow, a pink, sound-transmitting paper butterfly flew through the wind and snow and landed on Su Chilling's palm. The little butterfly seemed to have transmitted some information into Su Chilling's spirit sense. Immediately, she could not help but burst into laughter. What are you laughing at? This sound-transmitting paper butterfly is very unique. Did you make it? Ning Fan's eyes moved. Among the low-grade cultivators in the Endless Sea, there was a type of sound-transmitting paper that was very popular. It could be used to send messages by falling paper dolls, paper cranes, paper butterflies and paper tigers. It was little Lien who sent me a message. She told me something interesting. I could not help but laugh. Su Chilling combed her black hair. Her ethereal aura was like an orchid in an empty valley. She was a talented woman. Even though she was slightly sickly, it added to her elegance. Su Chilling kept the paper butterfly and said with a faint smile. Young Master Zhou, are you going to rest first or are you going to concoct the heart-nourishing pill? Are you going to accompany me to rest? Ning Fan teased. Sure. If you dare, I dare. Su Chilling looked indifferent even though her neck had turned pink from embarrassment. You are really the most special woman I have ever seen, Ning Fan shook his head. If he said this, she would probably scold him for being a hooligan. However, Su Chilling was much calmer and more unperturbed than most women. It was as if nothing could surprise her. She was a woman who had already seen through life and death, sorrow and joy. You should go and concoct pills. I want to concoct the heart-nourishing pill as soon as possible so that your injuries can be healed. Thank you for your love, young master. However, young Master Zhou, please take note. There is an old man standing in the snow outside the pill concoction room. Standing in the snow outside the door of the Qing family. Ning Fan was rather surprised. It was an illusion of the cultivation world. It referred to 2 cultivators of the Confucian sect, Yu Shao and Yang Shi. In order to seek the Tao, they stood outside the door of a great Confucian sect with the surname Cheng for an entire night and turned into a snowman. Ning Fan immediately understood why Su Chilling was laughing when his spirit sense swept across 50,000 li. Without saying a word, he directly hugged Su Chilling's slender waist and took a step forward. Purple smoke floated out of his body. Su Chilling's delicate body trembled slightly but she did not resist. This woman was really a bold woman for love. Even if Ning Fan violated the rules of etiquette by having intercourse with her in front of the wind and snow, this woman would probably not care about it. I won't regret Zhongzi crossing my wall. Su Chilling muttered to herself. What? Nothing. It was Su Chilling's first time experiencing the speed of a divine transformation realm cultivator. The whistling wind and snow beside her ears made her feel intoxicated. She did not even have the time to marvel at Ning Fan's speed. In just a few breaths, they had already arrived at the top-grade pill concoction room of the profound Jade Palace. Outside the room, the wind and snow were intertwined. An elderly man in scholarly robes was covered in snow like a snowman. He had really been standing outside the pill concoction room for the entire night. As soon as he saw Ning Fan coming with a beauty, he immediately shook off the snow on his body and cupped his fists with a smile. Hee hee. Fellow Taoist Zhou, are you here to concoct pills today? The old man seemed to be looking forward to it. Yes. Fellow Taoist Yang, do you want to watch from the side? Of course I do. Yang Gu's eyes were burning with passion. After he obtained the Medicine Soul Heart Sutra, he was extremely close to attaining the 5th Revolution Pill Refinement Realm. If he could watch a 5th Revolution Pill Refinement Realm master concoct pills at this critical juncture, it would certainly be a great way to accumulate experience. Rules? Ning Fan asked indifferently. Hee hee. Of course. Of course. Yang Gu took out a storage pouch filled with immortal jade and passed it to Ning Fan. In the Endless Sea, one would have to pay a fee to watch a 5th Revolution Pill Refinement Realm master concoct pills. 1 million immortal jade per person was not a lot, but it was a rule. Imagine, if a 5th Revolution Pill Refinement Realm master invites 1,000 or 10,000 people to watch and learn from him, how much money would he earn? To improve one's pill concoction technique, one would need to consume a large amount of spiritual herbs. In itself, it would burn a lot of money. Rules could not be broken, especially rules that allowed one to collect money. Yang Gu stood at the entrance of the pill refinement room and watched from afar. As for Ning Fan and Su Qiuling, they walked side by side to the pill cauldron and ignited the cauldron. Su Qiuling could observe and learn from him at a close distance. Even if she did not learn the art of pill refinement at all, it would still be beneficial for her to observe and comprehend something by analogy. Beside Su Qiuling stood a half-damaged He-Ho. Even though it was half-damaged, its tyrannical aura still startled Yang Gu. This is a half-step void refinement realm spiritual puppet. Hiss. Yang Gu could not help but feel shocked. A half-step void refinement realm expert was one of the 7 venerated experts of the internal sea. To think that he would actually be refined into a puppet by Ning Fan. Yang Gu could not help but wonder what level Ning Fan's cultivation base had reached. Ever since the news of Ning Fan's return spread out, the outside world had heard that he was a divine transformation realm cultivator. However, it was only rumored that he was an early divine transformation realm cultivator. But Yang Gu didn't believe it. Would an early divine transformation realm cultivator have a half-step void refinement realm spiritual puppet? Fellow Taoist Yang, please don't mind me. This puppet is my principal. As soon as he finished speaking, he did not explain any further and tossed the spiritual herbs into the pill cauldron. The existence of the spiritual puppet was to protect the pill concoction master. It was to prevent the observers from sneakily attacking the pill concoction master, destroying the pill or even injuring the concoction master. Asking for payment and being on guard against Yang Gu. Ning Fan always said the ugly words in advance. He would not take advantage of others, but he would also not let others take advantage of him. Yang Gu's mind was greatly shaken. He realized that he had underestimated Ning Fan's strength and temperament right from the beginning. However, this shock soon disappeared. In just the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Yang Gu was completely captivated by Ning Fan's pill concoction techniques. This is the pill concoction technique of the 9 Revolutions River Cart, purple ribbon binding body. This is the pill concoction technique of the 3 Purities pill condensation, heart-splitting fire. This is, more than 90% of the pill concoction techniques that Ning Fan used were seen by Yang Gu for the first time. In the past, he had only read about them in ancient books. His heart was filled with joy. It's worth it. It's really worth it. I can see so many mysterious techniques with just 1 million immortal jade. This trip is really worth it. Time passed day by day. This time, he had spent an entire month concocting the heart-nourishing pill. Ning Fan was very attentive and meticulous. This was a nourishing pill for Su Qiling to recuperate her mental state. Thus, he naturally could not be careless. He was a beautiful butterfly. However, this butterfly was full of emotions. During this 1 month, his techniques were constantly changing between two completely different Tao of pill refinement. The 9 revolutions river cart required him to fuse his demon power and improve its quality through repeated changes. Finally, the pill would be formed. The 3 purities pill condensation required him to split his spirit sense into 3 parts and calcine them from 3 different parts. The part with the strongest demon power would be the pill heart, while the other 2 parts would be the pill embryo. Different techniques were fused into one in Ning Fan's body. His thoughts and his Tao were to fuse the 2 poles of yin and yang, which were completely different things. The green qi around Ning Fan's body intensified and the medicinal mist became dense. Ning Fan's aura was rising and transforming. Yang Gu was shocked once again. He could tell that Ning Fan had actually touched the bottleneck of the mid-grade 5th revolution pill refinement realm because he had touched upon 2 different pill concoction techniques at the same time. Fellow Taoist Zhou is about to break through to the mid-grade 5th revolution pill refinement realm. I, Yang Gu, am actually fortunate enough to witness the breakthrough of a mid-grade 5th revolution pill master. To Yang Gu, this was extremely significant. As long as he engraved every detail of Ning Fan's breakthrough in his mind, he would definitely have the chance to break through to the mid-grade 5th revolution pill master in the future. Spending 1 million immortal jade was definitely worth it. Even if he had to pay 10 million or 100 million immortal jade, it would still be worth it. No. I must pay this amount of money. I want to acknowledge fellow Taoist Zhou as my master. Yang Gu's eyes flashed with a hint of persistence. Ning Fan's pill refinement technique was too profound. Even though his level was not the highest in the Rain world, each and every one of his actions was imperceptibly tainted with the mannerisms and temperament of great Emperor Wang Gu. Accepting a disciple was a good thing, especially a disciple like Yang Gu who was willing to sacrifice himself. There was no need to give him any benefits. He just needed to casually imprint some snacks for him and he would be satisfied and loyal to him. Moreover, he would provide a large amount of pills for Ning Fan's force when he is not around. His first disciple was Xueqing. This disciple had most likely broken through to the 4th revolution and provided a large amount of pills for Ning Fan, right? Ning Fan, of course, did not know why Yang Gu wanted to acknowledge him as his master. However, even if he did, it would probably depend on his mood. At this moment, he was concentrating on the improvement of his cultivation realm. Along with a sound that sounded like a cocoon breaking out, the green qi around his body suddenly shone brightly. The green color of his qi became deeper and it began to slowly transform into a black color. The black color was black. His pill refinement technique had broken through to the mid-grade 5th revolution. Phew! My pill refinement technique has finally improved. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with joy. The improvement of his pill refinement technique this time was very significant. This time, he achieved a breakthrough in his pill refinement realm with his own efforts after the pill refinement technique he inherited from ancient chaos had reached its limit. This meant that as long as Ning Fan continues to work hard, he would definitely become a grandmaster with his innate talent. Young Master Zhou, you've worked hard. Do you need me to prepare some bath water for you? Su Qiling could not help but giggle. After a month of pill refinement, Ning Fan's face was already covered in dirt, making him look like a young master who was fleeing from a destroyed country. Why is he not a beggar but a young master who is fleeing from a destroyed country? It was because in Su Qiling's heart, no matter how down and out Ning Fan was, he still had an unyielding will. As long as his heart remained firm, he would still be a young master and not a beggar even if he had to flee and travel around the world for 19 years. Are you going to accompany me in the bath? Ning Fan was still teasing her. If you dare, I will. Su Qiling was still as resolute as ever. Thud. The sound of a heavy object hitting the ground interrupted their conversation. It was Yang Gu who knelt on the ground and bowed deeply to Ning Fan. Fellow Taoist Zhou. No, venerated Ming, Please accept me as your disciple. Yang Gu's eyes were filled with determination. He had a premonition that Ning Fan would become a pill refinement master that surpassed venerated pill in the future. He might even become the new pill sovereign of the rain world. Ning Fan's eyes widened and he felt rather speechless. Why do all the madmen who are obsessed with pill refinement like to take me as their master? If I accept Shui Qing as my disciple, he can watch over my pill refinement and provide an endless supply of pills for the 3 Black Devil divine armies. But what's the use of accepting Yang Gu? Fellow Taoist Yang, you have to be cautious when accepting a master. Venerated Ming, please give me a chance. Even if I have to start as an honorary disciple, I'm willing to do so. I know that venerated Ming likes to travel around the world and you don't like me following you around. However, you don't have to worry. I will take care of myself and I won't cause any trouble for you. This is 100 million immortal jade. Please accept it as a token of my sincerity. Yang Gu was very nervous. In his entire life, this was the second time he knelt to someone and the first time he accepted someone as his master. The first time he knelt was thousands of years ago when he knelt in front of his parents' graves. He left his war-torn hometown and the capital of a mortal country to embark on the path of cultivation. What benefits do I get from accepting you as my disciple? Ning Fan's words were very realistic, but they were also the truth. In the cultivation world, if there is no deep friendship, why would you do something that doesn't benefit you? If Master accepts me as your disciple, I can recommend you to join the Pill Island and become a foreign elder of the Pill Island. Moreover, I can help you obtain the quota to enter the soul washing pond. If you can enter the soul washing pond, Master's medicine soul will certainly improve tremendously and your pill refinement mastery will improve tremendously. It is even possible for you to attain the high-grade 5th revolution pill refinement realm. Yang Gu kowtowed again with a sincere expression. As a disciple, it was natural for him to show filial respect to his master. In order to become Ning Fan's disciple, it was even more appropriate for him to give him a gift. His heart was filled with anxiety. After all, this was related to his entire life's Tao of pill refinement. He asked himself 1,000 times in his heart. If I miss out on Ning Fan, will there still be another person who can teach me such extravagant pill refinement mastery? No way. Ning Fan remained silent, but his heart was moved. It was not his first time hearing about the soul washing pond. If he could enter this pond, his medicine soul would improve and his pill refinement mastery would naturally improve tremendously. In other words, not only would he not have to spend too much effort to accept this disciple, but he would also receive great benefits. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed as if he had made a decision. Chapter 348. An in-name disciple was Ning Fan's answer to Yang Gu. For the time being, he would register them. If they were not to his liking, he would kick them away. If they were useful, he could nurture them a little. Even though it was just an ambiguous answer, it still made Yang Gu extremely excited. He immediately bid farewell to Ning Fan and rushed back to the Dan Island in the Internal Sea. Firstly, it was to recommend Ning Fan to become a guest elder of the Tao of Pills. Secondly, he could invite a large group of people to help him eliminate the alliance of bright assassins. It was not certain how many people he could invite. Yang Gu was very popular. With his easygoing personality, he had friends everywhere. With the addition of some good friends from the Tao of Alchemy, this group battle would probably be very spectacular. The matter of Yang Gu had come to an end. What followed was to remove the hidden dangers in Su Qiuling's body. Firstly, he had to retrieve the fragment of the immortal trapping sword. Apart from that, he had to solve the problem of Su Qiuling's lack of birth charts. For a few days in a row, Ning Fan shut himself in his room and pondered hard. He deduced dozens of treatment plans and finally chose 3 of them. As soon as he left the Black Jade Palace, Ning Fan headed to the Blissful Summit to look for Su Qiuling. However, her room was empty. He spread out his divine perception and searched half of the Pleasure Devil Island, but he still couldn't find Su Qiuling. Ning Fan was secretly surprised. In the middle of the flower grave, a young girl who looked like a young maidservant walked towards him timidly and handed him a paper butterfly. Young Master Zhou, this is for you from young mistress. Young mistress asked you to look for her. The little girl's voice was trembling. She seemed to be very afraid of Ning Fan. Your name is Xiaoyan? Yes, yes. Little Yen didn't dare to raise her head. Did you fold this paper butterfly? Xiaoyan deserves to die. Xiaoyan won't dare to do it again. The young girl cried out and knelt down to beg for mercy. It seemed that the maidservant was not allowed to break the sound transmission paper butterfly to prevent the secret from being leaked. And, don't worry, I won't tell anyone about this. This butterfly is quite pretty. Not bad. Ning Fan patted Xiaoyan's head and opened the paper butterfly. He glanced at the words inside and immediately did not know whether to laugh or cry. He took a step forward and disappeared without a trace. Only the maid, Xiaoyan, was left kneeling on the ground in the distance. She only dared to raise her head after Ning Fan left. Her expression was still filled with fear. Behind the cluster of flowers, 7 to 8 maidservants immediately came over to help Xiaoyan up when they saw that Ning Fan had already left. Each of them was filled with fear. Xiaoyan, you've got guts. That young Master Zhou is the infamous devil of the outer seas. He's killed countless people. You actually dared to say 3 sentences to him. I'm fine, I've heard that he's a great devil who lusts after other people's wives and daughters. He didn't do anything to you, did he? I think he touched your head just now. Could it be that he planted some kind of restriction on you? Her female companions were all worried. Xiaoyan shook her head, blushed, and said in a low voice. I feel that young Master Zhou doesn't seem to be a bad person. He even said that the paper butterfly I folded was beautiful. Miss Xiaoyan is thinking of love. I think it's more than just yearning. Even her soul has been seduced by young Master Zhou. Haha. A group of young ladies then began to play in the flower path, completely forgetting about how terrifying Ning Fan was. In the sky above the Pleasure Devil Island, Ning Fan scanned the area with his spirit sense. When he sensed the playful activities of the maidservants, he sighed. Even though the status of these maidservants was low and they even had low aptitude which made them have no chance of reaching the Gold Core realm and Nascent Soul realm in their entire lives, they were innocent and naive. Indeed, Ning Fan envied this kind of peaceful and playful life. However, life did not give him a choice. There was only one sentence in that sound transmission paper butterfly. It was Su Qiuling's soft and gentle voice. Beauty flows like water and never returns. Poor young Master Zhou is not yearning for the mundane. That sentence was a poem that Su Qiuling casually made. She was truly a talented woman. Her life was already in danger but she still had the heart to play hide-and-seek with Ning Fan. She hid herself and let Ning Fan find her. Poor young Master Zhou is not yearning for the mundane. Is she pitying Ning Fan for being too busy with cultivation? Ning Fan shook his head. He was at his wit's end when it came to an independent woman like Su Qiuling. He closed his eyes and pressed the tip of his finger on the paper butterfly. Using the trace of qi on the paper butterfly, Ning Fan sensed the residual qi in the wind and chased after Su Qiuling using that trace of qi. Su Qiuling's qi was special. She was immersed in flowers every day. She loved and nurtured flowers. There was a fragrance of flowers that seeped into one's soul. Perhaps, she was a flower in her previous life. In the black wind and snow of the Pleasure Devil Sea, a pleasure boat was drifting in the sea. Su Qiuling was the only one on the boat. She was really bold to travel alone in the Pleasure Devil Sea with her peak Gold Core realm cultivation base. She seemed bold but in fact, that small pleasure boat was a heavenly dwelling treasure given to her by a Paradise Realm expert. Once there is an enemy, she could hide in the space inside the boat. No one below the Void Refinement Realm would be able to find her. These were just the safety of her rationality. In fact, Su Qiuling was a very emotional person. She believed that Ning Fan would come and look for her. That was why she was attracted by his temperament the first time she saw him. She always thought that it was love at first sight. Until 3 years ago, her illness began to act up. She began to lose consciousness and had strange dreams. In her dreams, she was a pitch-black orchid. She was alone in a deep valley, isolated from the rest of the world. No one could enter her world. She also did not need to understand anyone's world. She could admire herself and sing by herself for the entire day. Until one day, a snow-white butterfly flew into the deep valley. It was so white that there was not a single speck of dust on it. However, it was so weak that it could not even stand a gust of wind. It seemed like it had been exposed to wind and rain somewhere. Half of its wings were destroyed by the rain palace. Even so, the butterfly still flew stubbornly. It refused to admit defeat and submit. When the butterfly flew past the top of the orchid, it could no longer fly and fell into the stamen of the orchid. The butterfly's breathing gradually weakened and it gradually lost its memories. However, it still stubbornly spread its wings and tried to fly towards the sky. At this moment, the orchid understood why the butterfly was injured. It was because this butterfly was too stupid. It tried to fly to the sky with its weak wings. Its wings were torn apart by the strong winds. Stupid butterfly. That is the world of immortals. You are just a small butterfly. Why are you so stubborn? The orchid spoke the language of flowers that the butterfly could not hear. Just like how the orchid could not change the butterfly's will. The butterfly flapped its weak body again and fell back into the stamen. The orchid finally felt heartache. She did not understand why she felt heartache. However, when she saw the butterfly's struggling expression, she could not bear it. She wanted to save this butterfly. Stupid butterfly. Pick my stamen and you will be able to recover your strength. Stupid butterfly. Tear off my petals and you will be able to repair your butterfly wings. Silly butterfly, you are too weak. Your body is not strong enough to withstand the astral winds. I am willing to give you the metal chi in my life so that your butterfly wings will be as strong as iron. Then, you will be able to withstand the astral winds, stupid butterfly. Why don't you look at me? The orchid secretly sprinkled its flower dew on the butterfly and used its petals to repair the butterfly's wings. It gave its gold energy to the butterfly. The butterfly was no longer pure white. Half of it was black. It was given to it by the orchid. Her gold energy was not absorbed by her father's magnetic force. She had already given her gold energy to a butterfly in her previous life. In the end, the butterfly regained its strength and flew into the sky. However, it did not know that an orchid had saved its life. That orchid eventually withered because it lost its gold energy. Until one day, a trace of the ashes of a burning butterfly drifted with the wind to the mortal world and landed on the orchids. At that moment, the orchid's heart was broken. It was like a whimper and lost its last trace of life, a very sad dream. Am I too sentimental? Su Chilling sighed. That butterfly. Where did it go? Su Chilling muttered to herself. She was folding a piece of paper that was used to transmit messages. She loved flowers and she was partial to butterflies. Perhaps, in her previous life, she had a one-sided love for a butterfly. Su Chilling controlled the pleasure boat and moved forward at an unimaginable speed. The traveling cultivators passed by the boat but most of them could not sense the concealed chi of the boat. She was alone, like a vagrant who had no one to rely on. However, Su Chilling believed that Ning Fan would come back to find her. In the slight wind and snow, a young man in white robes and black cloak chased after the trace of chi and landed on the bow of the boat. He was used to wearing white robes. However, after he turned into a devil, he symbolically put on a large black feather cloak outside his white robes. One black and one white, alternating between good and evil, going to the sea without permission is not a child's play. Ning Fan frowned and reprimanded her. He had killed many people along the way. He knew how dangerous the endless sea was, especially in a lawless place like the Pleasure Devil Sea. In the past, Yuanya was ambushed here. Even though there was no auction today and cultivators from the internal sea rarely came here, and even though Su Qiling had a heavenly dwelling treasure to protect herself, it was still dangerous. At least, Su Qiling's body was still sick. It was not good for her to catch a cold. Su Qiling smiled instead of being angry, because only lonely people would understand that being reprimanded by someone was actually a kind of happiness. Reprimanding was actually showing concern. I'm sorry. I was a little reckless. However, I believe that you will come and find me. Su Qiling stroked her hair and raised her face with a faint smile. Of course I will come and find you. Ning Fan was so angry that he laughed. This Su Qiling is really a troublesome woman. She is second only to Yin Suqiu. No, perhaps to a certain extent, she can be on par with Yin Suqiu. Do you know the origin of that poem? Su Qiling suddenly changed the topic. She controlled the boat and headed in a certain direction. Which poem? When we met, you have read quite a lot of poems. Poor young master. Do you know? This is what I felt when I first saw you. Pitiful. Yes, it's just pitiful. It's not the admiration that you imagined. You are too stubborn. Even though your cultivation base is not strong, you still want to compete with Zhao Zijing just for a stalk of orchid. Is it worth it? Su Qiling seemed to recall that dream. She wanted to ask the butterfly about the orchid. Oh, butterfly, is it worth it for you to fly to the sky so desperately? The orchid had never asked that question before. However, she believed that there must be a reason why the butterfly insisted on flying to the sky. It must be more important than death. I won't ask about your past because I don't exist in your past. Su Qiling pointed to the front and suddenly smiled. I will bring you to a place. It was the place where I first sneaked out of the Pleasure Devil Island. It was my master who brought me there. That is a country of mortals. In the past, my master used this boat to bring me to see the lives of mortals. At that time, I knew that I am not the most miserable person in the world. My physique is too weak. I can't break through to the nascent soul realm. My lifespan is too short. I will die after 10 years. Even so, I have lived for hundreds of years. Isn't it true? Those mortals have been tortured by wars, plagues and natural disasters in their lives. However, they still stubbornly live on. Even if they don't have enough to eat, even if their fates are full, they still struggle to live on. At that time, I understood that a person can't choose their own fate in their life. However, they can choose their own attitude. No matter how hard life is, they can live on with a smile. If one happens to meet someone they like before they die, what can they do even if they go against the rules of the world? Su Qiling's eyes were filled with deep affection as she looked at Ning Fan. As long as you dare, I dare. Is that so? Ning Fan looked at Su Qiling with pity. For a moment, he did not know what to say. He did not even have the heart to scold her for leaving the island without permission. If Su Qiling did not meet him, perhaps she would have died alone in her valley in this life. Where do you want to go? I will bring you there. However, you have to promise me that after we go there, you will obediently return home with me and receive your treatment in peace. No, we will receive treatment in that mortal country. How about it? I like the atmosphere there. There are too many people there. If someone has bad intentions, with your strength, Great Devil King Zhou, can't you protect a weak woman like me from a bunch of mortals? Su Qiling's eyes flashed with mischief. I am not as strong as you think. However, if this is your wish, I will do my best to protect you. Ning Fan shook his head. He did not know why, but today, he instinctively did not want to reject any of Su Qiling's requests. It was just like how he owed her and hurt her in his previous life. Su Qiling's eyes revealed a hint of happiness. This was the only time in her life that she was willful. She just wanted to see if that person would tolerate her willfulness. However, this happiness had just risen when it was immediately covered by a shocked and embarrassed expression. All of a sudden, Ning Fan grabbed Su Qiuling's waist and lifted her up horizontally. Then, he stepped onto the pleasure boat. With a tap of his foot, the pleasure boat immediately turned into a ray of light and flew back into Su Qiuling's storage pouch. Why? It was the first time she was hugged by a man in such an ambiguous manner. No matter how indifferent Su Qiuling was, she could not help but feel embarrassed. Your pleasure boat is too slow. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a hint of pride. A pair of gigantic purplish-black demon wings appeared behind him. With a flap of his wings, waves surged to the sky. His wings were like the clouds in the sky. With a flap of his wings, he could travel 90,000 li. There is actually such a fast speed in this world. Su Qiuling was stunned. The pleasure boat that Dong Su gave her focused on concealment and heavenly dwelling abilities. However, its speed was not fast. It was only equivalent to the speed of an ordinary nascent soul realm cultivator. As for Su Qiuling, no one had ever carried her to fly. Other than the few times she left the island, she had been imprisoned on the Pleasure Devil Island for almost her entire life. This was the first time a man carried her and flew. This man's speed could reach 90,000 li. In the entire Endless Sea, he could be considered the fastest among all the cultivators below the Void Refinement realm. Su Qiuling laid in Ning Fan's embrace and hugged his neck. She stared at his face and gradually became infatuated. In a trance, she saw a butterfly. A butterfly that did not look at her twice in her previous life hugged her tightly in this life. Speaking of which, where do you want to go exactly? Is there a mortal country in the Endless Sea? Yes. To be exact, it's a half-mortal country. It's a small country on an island in the North Sea. This country was first built by some nascent soul realm old monsters in order to comprehend the life of mortals and turn into a mortal or slay a mortal. In other words, these mortals were actually captured by their ancestors and brought to this island many generations ago. They were never told that there were other countries in this world, and they were never told that there were cultivators in this world. Any cultivator who enters this island will be infected by the chi of the mortal world. They will automatically withdraw their magic power and live in anonymity. Of course. Su Qiuling suddenly sighed halfway through her words. Of course, there will also be a small number of cultivators who see that the mortals are weak and easy to bully. They will come here to kill or to avoid revenge. These kinds of people will be secretly eliminated by a few great cultivators who are hiding on this island. They are the guardians of the security of this country. Legend has it that they were once mortals on this island a few generations ago. That is why they want to protect this country. Ning Fan's eyes glinted. He did not expect that someone would purposely create a paradise in this place that was filled with blood. Perhaps there were many cultivators who lived in seclusion on this island. They were tired of the bloody sea of cultivation and decided to live here for the rest of their lives. Perhaps some of them were just passing by this place and would leave after obtaining enough enlightenment. All of a sudden, Ning Fan seemed to have understood something. He looked at Su Qiuling, who was in his arms, and revealed a grateful expression. Thank you. What are you thanking me for? Su Qiuling winked her eyes playfully. Thank you for saying that. Poor young master doesn't yearn for the mortal world, Ning Fan sighed. This Su Qiuling is not being willful. She clearly saw that I was too tired from 20 years of killing. She was afraid that I would suffer from chi deviation. That is why she brought me to see some of the past events of the mortal world to calm my devil heart. This Su Qiuling obviously cares about me. However, she did not say it out loud, nor did she ask for credit. She just silently contributed. If you don't pay attention to it, you might miss it. You will never know that she had done everything for you. Looking at Su Qiuling, Ning Fan suddenly felt a sense of familiarity. He felt like he had seen her somewhere before. Where is it? With Ning Fan's speed and Su Qiuling's guidance, they soon arrived at a calm sea. As soon as he stepped into this sea, Ning Fan felt an unusual chi. There was not the slightest bit of spiritual chi in the air here. It was completely impossible to cultivate. This heaven and earth without spiritual chi was, of course, set up by some cultivators with formations in order to simulate the mortal world. After stopping his traveling light, Ning Fan bent down and looked around. There were many boats docked below. There were more than 10 boats in total. On each boat, there was a boatman. At first glance, these boatmen looked inconspicuous. However, each of them faintly emitted a nascent soul realm chi. As soon as they saw Ning Fan and Su Qiling approaching, the fishermen immediately stood up and looked at Ning Fan with unkind eyes. Halt your steps. This is the place where the cultivators of the endless sea temper their hearts and enter the mortal world. Any cultivator who enters this place without permission is not allowed to display their traveling light and reveal a trace of their cultivation base. Otherwise, once the mortals here know that there are cultivators in this world and disrupt their peaceful lives, you will be hunted down by 5 peak nascent soul realm experts. The warning of these fishermen made Ning Fan stunned. He looked at Su Qiling who was in his arms and shook his head. What should we do now? With my personality, there is never a place that I can't go. If someone tries to stop me, I will kill my way in. Bah! We can enter the island by taking a boat. Su Qiling was simply speechless. This Ning Fan is really a cultivation maniac and a battle maniac. I brought him here out of kindness to experience the life of a mortal. Yet, he still wants to fight and cause a bloody storm here. Is he an idiot? As if she saw someone familiar, Su Qiling pointed at a certain direction. Immediately, Ning Fan carried her and landed on one of the boats. The boatman on the boat was a middle-aged man with a mid-nascent soul realm cultivation base. He was smoking a tobacco pipe. As soon as he saw Su Qiling and Ning Fan, he put up a vigilant look. His instincts told him that this young man in white robes and black cloak was very dangerous. However, as soon as he saw Su Qiling, the middle-aged man seemed to have recognized her, but he was puzzled. You are, Uncle Wang. It's me. I am Qiling. Su Qiling jumped down from Ning Fan's arms and smiled faintly. Her elegant smile immediately made the honest middle-aged man feel embarrassed. He did not know what to do with his hands and feet. Qiling, it's you. You have grown up. Cough cough. You are a big girl now. You even have a husband. Fourth uncle doesn't dare to recognize you anymore. Of course I have grown up. Do you know how long it has been since I came to Gusu City last time? It has been a few hundred years. It has been so long. Hee hee. Fourth uncle is used to the life of a mortal. I don't remember the years. Fourth uncle put down his tobacco pipe and carefully observed Ning Fan. At this moment, he felt like he was looking at his nephew's son-in-law. The more he looked at him, the more satisfied he was. Not bad. Qiling has good taste. This young man has an excellent foundation. He is a talent. Why? Did you come here to marry your lover on the Qixi festival? Marry? Su Qiling's eyes lit up. She turned her head and looked at Ning Fan as if she was asking for confirmation. Do you want to try? As you wish, Ning Fan said indifferently. His eyes were still vigilant. He was secretly paying attention to the dozen nascent soul realm experts. If anyone dares to do anything to Su Qiling, he only needed half a breath to kill all of them. This was his instinct after experiencing the sea of blood. Seeing Ning Fan being so cautious, Su Qiling sighed softly. It's very difficult to make Ning Fan relax completely. Forget it. Even if it's just accompanying him for a trip, it's still very good. Chapter 349. Wang Si was a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator. People called him Uncle Wang or Uncle Si. He was quite popular in Gusu City. After he gave the order, he steered the ship alone and carried Ning Fan and Su Qiling through the layers of mist, heading towards an island in the distance. The other ships obeyed his orders and remained where they were. The speed of the ship was extremely slow. It reminded Ning Fan of the past when he took a ship in Wu country. Su Qiling stood gracefully beside Ning Fan. She tiptoed and tried her best to breathe in the salty sea breeze. Her hair was messed up by the wind, but her face was filled with happiness. Uncle Wang Si was singing a fisherman's song as he raised the sail and steered the boat. The simple and honest song evoked Ning Fan's memories. Originally, his state of mind had already reached the half-step void refinement realm before the bell of samsara. At this moment, his state of mind actually felt a sense of loosening and the urge to improve again. Young Master Zhou, remember not to use any magic power in Gusu. We are just ordinary people. Su Qiling reminded again. You've said that many times. Promise me that you won't fight with anyone in Gusu. Su Qiling's eyes seemed to have a magical power that made Ning Fan reluctant to reject her request. Ning Fan nodded his head. If Su Qiling's life was not in danger, he would not make a fuss over such a small matter. The sky gradually darkened, from morning to noon, and then to evening. In the distance, an island with a gentle sunset glow came into view. Not only did Wang Si's ship return to the sea, there were also many ships returning to the island from other directions. Some were returning from fishing, and some were also carrying several cultivators, coming to Gusu to refine their hearts and enter the mortal realm. The purpose of cultivating one's heart into the mortal world was to transform into a mortal and slay it. For nascent soul realm old monsters, whether or not they could transform into a mortal and slay it meant whether or not they could successfully become a soul formation cultivator in this lifetime. Therefore, many of the cultivators who came here were nascent soul cultivators. There were also some gold core cultivators like Su Qiling. Divine transformation realm experts like Ning Fan were rare. On the shore of the island, a group of armored soldiers dressed as officers were inspecting the cultivators who had entered the island. Because of his relationship with Wang Si, Ning Fan did not have to undergo any inspection and was allowed to enter the island. He was only asked to conceal his magical treasures and storage pouch. Other than Ning Fan and Su Qiling, the other 10+ cultivators who went to the island were all asked to search their bodies. After Wang Si handed the two of them a heavy pouch of money, he left the island. Su Qiling, on the other hand, rented a carriage and drove towards Gusu city. Bamboo fences, small bridges and flowing water, swallows returning late. As night fell, the peak of the auspicious cloud tower lit up with dazzling fireworks. It's so beautiful. It's the colorful fireworks of the precious jade pavilion. Su Qiling lifted the curtain and looked at the fireworks from the carriage. The nostalgia in Ning Fan's eyes intensified. He began to have an illusion that the killings, the devil cultivation, the sea of blood and the battles were all just a dream. When he wakes up from the dream, he would still be living a peaceful life in the green mountains and clear waters of Wu country. But most of the time, he didn't have a choice. However, once he embarked on the path of cultivation, he could no longer turn back. A look of struggle gradually appeared in his eyes. He was struggling with the choice between being an immortal or a mortal. Memories flooded his mind, as if they were knocking on his heart, turning into a voice that echoed continuously in his heart. The path of cultivation is boundless, repent and you will be immortal. The coachman was rather surprised to see Su Qiling reveal the origin of the flower fire. Miss, you have good eyesight. It seems like it's not your first time coming to Gusu city. Today is the Qiao Qiao festival. It's really a blessing for you and your lover to come to this festival. The coachman began to explain. He was a rather talkative mortal. However, Su Qiling did not have the intention to chat with him at all. When Su Qiling saw the struggle and nostalgia in Ning Fan's eyes, she could not bear it anymore and gently held his hand. The first time she met Ning Fan, he also had the same expression. In front of the lilies, he swept away his confusion and improved his mental state. Today, Ning Fan was confused again. He was using the qi of the mortal world to improve his mental state. Su Qiling felt pity for him. She just wanted Ning Fan to have a rest. He was too tired and headstrong. However, at this moment, Su Qiling finally understood that Ning Fan could not rest at all. He did not have time to play. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have willfully brought you here. This will only make you more troubled, right? Su Qiling blamed herself. It's all right. Ning Fan's eyes gradually became clear. He did not think much of it. The struggle in his mind just now had improved his mental state. One's mental state could only be improved by chance and comprehension. It could not be improved through bitter cultivation. Ning Fan would certainly not let go of such a good opportunity to improve his mental state. He no longer thought that it was a waste of time to play in this place. Holding Su Qiling's hand tightly, Ning Fan's eyes also looked at the night sky and said indifferently. I should be the one apologizing for letting down your kindness. After all, I can't become immortal again. However, I don't regret taking the path of cultivation. I'm a cultivator. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with determination and pride as a cultivator. He was no longer at the age where he was lost. His mental state was already not far away from the void refinement realm. At this moment, his body ignited with an aura that did not fit in with this place. When his mental state improved, he released a trace of aura force. Those below the peak nascent soul realm would not be able to sense it at all. When this trace of aura force was released, the entire Gusu city trembled for a moment. However, no one noticed it. At this moment, the formation that confined the spiritual chi of heaven and earth in Gusu city was nearly shattered by this trace of aura force. In Gusu city, 5 old men were lying dormant in the city. All of them had peak nascent soul realm cultivation bases. They pushed open the door at the same time and gasped in shock while looking at the sky. There was a spirit extinguishing formation in the Gusu Sea region that could isolate all the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, giving the city the atmosphere of a mortal world. This spirit extinguishing formation was a peak divine transformation realm formation. Besides, its design was extremely mysterious. It could not be broken with magic power at all. Even a divine transformation realm old ancestor would not be able to break this formation without using their trump cards or magic treasures. However, just now, the spirit extinguishing grand formation of Gusu city seemed to have been broken by a trace of someone's mental state. That trace of aura force revealed a great enlightenment of the Tao heart. It was obviously caused by the improvement of one's mental state cultivation base. That kind of enlightenment had already surpassed the divine transformation realm. It was almost at the void refinement realm. The 5 old men were astounded, and all of them realized that an extraordinary figure had probably entered Gusu city. Who is it? His mental state has almost touched the void refinement realm. The questions of the 5 old men would not be answered in the end. Moreover, they lived in seclusion and rarely went out. They did not know that a ferocious devil had appeared in the external endless sea and that devil had descended upon Gusu city after 20 years. The long bluestone street was filled with people and the sound of a phoenix flute could be heard. Under the dim lights, a green-robed scholar was enjoying the atmosphere of this place with his eyes closed. Behind him was a white-robed young man respectfully. If there were cultivators from the external endless sea here, they would definitely recognize that the white-robed young man was the genius of the Tao Law sect of the 10 sections. He was the most talented cultivator among the 7 disciples of the external endless sea, Wang Yun. Wang Yun of the Tao Law sect formed his nascent soul at the age of 400 and reached the peak nascent soul realm at the age of 900. In the past 20 years, he had even reached the half-step divine transformation realm and was not far from the divine transformation realm. Given his status, the fact that he was standing beside the green-robed scholar so respectfully showed that the scholar's status was even more extraordinary. Brother Yun, what do you think of Gusu city? Can it help you comprehend the mortal world and help you break through to the mid-5th revolution in pill refinement? Wang Yun's tone was unusually respectful. From his words, one could tell that the green-robed scholar was an early 5th revolution pill refinement master. It's difficult. Even though it's difficult to improve my pill refinement technique, my mental state is almost about to break through to the mid-divine transformation realm. It seems like it's only a matter of time before my cultivation base reaches the mid-divine transformation realm from the early divine transformation realm. The green-robed scholar's tone was extremely indifferent, but there was a trace of arrogance in it. Not many people knew that his name was Yun Niansu. He was the second genius among the young generation of the Rain Palace. His bone age was 1,000 years old, his cultivation base was at the early divine transformation realm, and his pill refinement realm was at the low 5th revolution. In front of Yun Niansu, Wang Yun and the other 7 disciples of the external Endless Sea were not even worth mentioning. Speaking of which, the Endless Sea is the territory of Thunder Emperor Buzhou. Other than Zhou Qing of the Zhou clan, there are almost no one else among the young generation that is worthy of his attention. What a disappointment. Yun Niansu's words made Wang Yun's eyes filled with shame. In terms of talent, he knew that it would be hard for him to catch up to Yun Niansu. This person cultivated both pill refinement and magic at the same time and was able to reach such a realm. He should not be underestimated. However, Wang Yun did not dare to agree with Yun Niansu's tone of belittling the Endless Sea. To be honest, brother Niansu, Wang Yun knows of one person whose talent is even higher than Zhou Qing of the Zhou clan. Rumor has it that he has returned to the external Endless Sea. I believe that even if brother Niansu has just entered the Endless Sea, you should have heard of his name. A white-robed and black-cloaked figure appeared in front of Wang Yun's eyes. That figure had trampled all the pride of the 7 disciples of the external Endless Sea on a windy and snowy night. You're talking about revered Ming, Zhou Ming. Yun Niansu's eyes flickered and he shook his head with a smile. Rumor has it that Zhou Ming was able to kill Divine Transformation Realm experts when he was still at the nascent Soul Realm. Now that he has returned to the Divine Transformation Realm, his name has become even more ferocious. However, in my eyes, his talent is only passable. He might be stronger than Zhou Qing, but he is not worthy of my attention. Yun Niansu did not think much of it. However, as soon as his voice fell, he suddenly felt surprised and looked up to the sky. He saw that the great spirit-severing formation that shielded the spiritual qi between heaven and earth was almost completely shattered by the aura force of a person's mental state. While he was still in shock, a carriage slowly passed by the street. Yun Niansu's eyes turned cold and fell on a white-robed and black-cloaked young man in the carriage. The aura force of a person's mental state that almost shattered the great spirit-severing formation was obviously emitted by the young man in the carriage. Who is this person? I can't see through his cultivation base. His mental state has almost reached the void refinement realm. He is Zhou Ming. Wang Yun's eyes widened in astonishment. His shock was not any weaker than Yun Niansu's. In fact, it was even more intense. Wang Yun had never thought that he would meet Ning Fan in Gusu City where one's heart was refined into a mortal. Moreover, he had never thought that the aura force that Ning Fan emitted when the carriage passed by him was enough to make Wang Yun, a genius of the external Endless Sea, collapse his Tao heart. He is countless times stronger than he was in the past. Wang Yun wore a complicated expression. In the past, Ning Fan gave him a feeling that he was invincible. Currently, he did not even have the qualifications to stand beside Ning Fan. Just a moment ago, Yun Niansu was still wearing a proud expression. But now, his breathing had become chaotic. He actually could not see through this Zhou Ming at all. As the second most talented person in the Rain Palace, is he actually not as good as Ning Fan? Yun Niansu slowly calmed his mental state. His eyes flashed with a hint of battle intent. Zhou Ming, huh? I didn't expect that there would be such a person in the Endless Sea. Inside the carriage, Ning Fan slowly calmed his mental state. His eyes were filled with a strange expression. He seemed to have seen a familiar face on the street that the carriage passed by just now. It's probably an illusion. He did not use his spirit sense. In this country of mortals, he did not want to break his mental state. This was a very good opportunity to improve his mental state and stabilize his cultivation base that had skyrocketed. Where are we going? Just as he was about to ask, Su Qiling suddenly stopped him. They paid the driver and got off the carriage. Then, they ran towards the night scene where the lights were the brightest. Along the way, Su Qiling had spent all the silver taels that Wang Si had given her. However, she was still in high spirits. Look! That's the auspicious cloud tower. All the fireworks are set off in front of the tower. Su Qiuling pointed at the golden tower. There were many stalls selling fireworks of various colors under the tower. After visiting a few stalls, Su Qiuling's expression began to look dejected. What's wrong? Ning Fan asked with concern. There aren't any 7-colored fireworks like before. Su Qiuling seemed to like 7-colored fireworks very much. As soon as her words fell, a white-haired old man sitting at a stall that had the most number of onlookers seemed to have heard her sigh and purposely called out to her. I'm coming. Under the auspicious cloud tower, anyone who wins a game against me will get a 7-colored fireworks. Little brother, do you want to play a game with me? The old man's eyes secretly focused on Ning Fan. His instinct told him that Ning Fan was a terrifying person. However, the old man was not afraid of him at all because he was a late nascent soul realm expert who was even more proficient in the Tao of chess formations. I'll get a 7-colored fireworks if I win a game. Ning Fan smiled. He held Su Qiuling's hand and walked towards the crowd. He did not use any magic power, but his aura made the onlookers unconsciously make a path for him. Don't play chess with him. He's Uncle Chi, the chess addict. He's very good at chess. Only a few people can defeat him. Su Qiuling was a little worried. As soon as she finished speaking, she stood on her tiptoes and whispered into Ning Fan's ear. Uncle Chi is a mid-grade divine transformation realm formation master. The Tao of formations and chess techniques are interlinked. His chess technique is really good. Is that so? Ning Fan did not think much of it. He flicked his sleeves and sat on the green stone bench. Then, he met Elder Chi's eyes with the stone chessboard between them. I'm Chi Shu. My nickname is Chess Addict. Little brother, you look a little unfamiliar. You're really a romantic person. However, I'll make it clear first. If you lose a game, you'll have to pay me 5 taels of silver. If you draw, you won't have to pay me anything. If you win a game, I'll give you a bunch of fireworks. I wonder if you have enough money. Elder Chi rubbed his hands and smiled, as if he was certain that he would win against Ning Fan. He was treating Ning Fan as a fat sheep waiting to be slaughtered. He did not have the demeanor of a nascent soul realm cultivator at all. He was just a greedy old man. Do you have enough fireworks? Ning Fan replied with a smile. The onlookers were in an uproar. They were just mortals. Naturally, they could not tell how strong Ning Fan was. They only knew that Elder Chi's chess technique was superb and he was almost the best in Gusu City. However, an arrogant young man who appeared out of nowhere was not afraid of Elder Chi at all. No one thought that Ning Fan could win. However, 2 hours later, everyone's eyeballs fell to the ground. In just 2 hours, Ning Fan and Elder Chi had played 12 games consecutively and won 12 games. After taking away the 12 bamboo tubes that were used to light the fireworks, Ning Fan held Su Qiuling's hand and calmly walked out of the crowd. To Ning Fan, winning against a mere intermediate divine transformation realm formation master was just a trivial matter. Young Master Zhou, I never knew that your chess technique is so good. You really hit it well. Su Qiuling's mouth was slightly open. Based on what she knew, Ning Fan only had a high cultivation base and an excellent pill refinement technique. She did not expect that he also had an extraordinary aptitude in the art of formations. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to win against Elder Chi so easily. Where do you want to go next? No. It's enough. Let's go and light these fireworks. Then, Su Qiuling's face instantly turned red. She bought the red candles and Su wine. She rowed the boat and lit the red candles. Then, she went on a boat with Ning Fan on the Su River. 12 fireworks were lit on the banks of the river. She took a sip of wine and played the zither to get drunk. She tried to use her music to take away Ning Fan's exhaustion from all the killings. On the 7th day of the 7th month in the Longevity Palace, when no one is whispering to each other in the middle of the night. Young Master Zhou, a good night is always short. With me around, you can let go of all your vigilance and have a good rest. Su Qiuling had said these words before. Lu Wanner had also said the same thing on that day. Are you going to sleep with me? Ning Fan drank a cup of wine and said half-jokingly. If you dare to. I dare to. This time, Su Qiuling directly fell into Ning Fan's arms and sealed his lips with her soft and tender lips. I really dare to. Her eyes seemed to be telling Ning Fan her feelings. The sound of the gurgling river and the ringing of the bell of the cold mountain temple could be heard from time to time. Beneath them was the swaying boat. It sailed past the Su River and out of the island towards the sea. With the hidden heavenly dwelling, no one actually knew about the boat's existence. The kiss was offered by Su Qiuling. However, she could no longer withdraw her fragrant lips. She had successfully aroused Ning Fan's desire. Even Su Qiuling herself was impressed by her courage. This was her first kiss. When their lips touched, her face was filled with surprise and embarrassment. She felt as if her entire body had softened and was about to melt in Ning Fan's arms. Her perky breasts kept heaving up and down. A tingling sensation spread throughout her entire body. She gradually lost her breath and wanted to leave Ning Fan's lips. However, Ning Fan hugged her tightly and greedily tasted Su Qiuling's fragrant tongue. All mortals had 7 emotions and 6 desires. Since he had become a mortal, Ning Fan would no longer use the yin-yang transformation to suppress his desires. How can you do this? Su Qiuling's eyes gradually became blurry. Even though she was bold, she had never imagined that her tongue would be played with by a man like this. She gently pushed Ning Fan's chest with her hands. However, she could not push Ning Fan away. Gradually, she stopped resisting. She allowed Ning Fan to taste her fragrant tongue, giving him the wonderful feeling of having his first kiss. Su Qiuling's small and adorable nose kept letting out soft moans that would make people blush. When she felt that the buttons of her thin blouse were forcefully undone, her moans began to carry a hint of panic. Young Master Zhou, we can't do this here. Ah, Su Qiuling immediately felt a thick and broad palm undoing the buttons of her blouse. Then, the palm reached into her thin blouse and began rubbing it through her smooth bra. The plump part of her body was soft and bouncy. It felt wonderful to the touch. Su Qiuling closed her watery eyes shyly and let Ning Fan do whatever he wanted. Gusu was the place where she and Ning Fan would get married. This pleasure boat was the place where they would consummate their marriage with the flower candle red tent. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with tender love as he stared at Su Qiuling in a half-drunk state. In a daze, he seemed to have seen Su Qiuling turning into an orchid. It was a pitch-black orchid that looked similar to him. It was too fragrant. Every inch of her skin had a fragrance that ordinary virgins could not compare with. He wanted to press her down and possess her. His palm caressed her entire body while his tongue wandered all over her body. When the heat pierced into her body, a trace of pure and holy blood dyed the night sky of Gusu's city. Su Qiuling's tender arms hugged Ning Fan tightly with tears of pain. She was willing to give up everything as long as she would not lose this butterfly in this life. Her moans became more and more intoxicated as Ning Fan continued to thrust into her. Chapter 350. It had been a long time since Ning Fan had such a good sleep and he had never had such a dream. In his dream, he was a snow-white butterfly resting on a pitch-black orchid in a deep valley with a floral fragrance. When he woke up, he was lying on the boat in the middle of the sea. He wanted to get up but he felt something heavy pressing on his arm. He turned his head and saw Su Qiuling, who had already woken up. Her bright eyes were staring at Ning Fan as if she could not get enough of him. Her snow-white and delicate body was completely naked. She was only covered with a red blanket that was embroidered with a one phoenix. As soon as she saw Ning Fan wake up, she immediately averted her eyes, as if she did not want him to know that she, Su Qiuling, had been staring at him for the entire morning. Ling Er, you woke up so early. You just endured the rain last night and are exhausted. Don't you need to sleep a little longer? Ning Fan looked at Su Qiling's beautiful face and thought of the orchid in his dream for no reason. He had a feeling that he had seen Su Qiling a long time ago. What Ning Fan found familiar was not her appearance but her unique body fragrance. Unfortunately, he could not remember where he had seen her before. His memory was already erased by the samsara when he was reincarnated. If I don't wake up early to protect young Master Zhou, will you be able to sleep peacefully? It was not that she was not tired or sleepy. She just wanted to protect Ning Fan and let him have a good rest. Is it alright if you don't call me husband? And it's alright. Su Qiling was actually shy and could not say it out loud. But if you call me young master again, won't others not know about our relationship? Then, Ling Er wants to call you Big Brother. That's right. Big Brother. Many women in Gusu City also call you Big Brother. Su Qiling was a little shy. No matter how bold she was in love, she had just become someone's wife after all. She needed some time to adapt. Ning Fan did not force her. His eyes were filled with pity. He had a feeling that he had never felt towards Su Qiling before. It was a feeling that he had never felt towards other women. He felt indebted. This feeling was not obvious at that time but it became more intense after he returned to the external endless sea. It was this feeling that made Ning Fan tolerate Su Qiling's willfulness despite his cold personality. Alright. You can call me whatever you like. Does your lower body still hurt? It doesn't hurt. Su Qiling blushed. She tried to avoid his gaze and lied. Really? Ning Fan lifted the thin blanket. Immediately, Su Qiling's snow-white body which carried the traces of pleasure from last night was exposed to the air. Her eyes were filled with reproach. She placed her hand on her chest, thinking that Ning Fan was going to act recklessly again. However, the pain in her lower body prevented her from doing so. When her legs were separated by Ning Fan and her tender and bloody parts were exposed to him, she could no longer bear the embarrassment. She closed her eyes and gently gritted her teeth. She did not resist because she did not want to disappoint him. Big Brother, you should be more gentle, don't go in too deep. Ning Fan was speechless. Could it be that in the eyes of other women, he really looked like a lustful man? Su Qiling had just lost her chastity, so why would she be so greedy? Silly girl, I'm helping you get rid of the blood clot. Ning Fan got rid of the perverted thoughts in his mind. His fingers carefully touched Su Qiling's sensitive spots and circulated his magic power. Immediately, Su Qiling's lower body, which was swollen and painful, felt a cool feeling rising to her body. The pain gradually disappeared and was replaced by an incomparably wonderful and joyful feeling. Big Brother is actually helping me to do it. Su Qiling was so embarrassed that she wanted to hide her face. However, she would never refuse any of Ning Fan's requests. Never, she had been waiting for Ning Fan to look at her like this for far too long. Above the tranquil ocean, an indistinct moan drifted very, very far away. It would take several months to treat Su Qiling's injuries. Based on Ning Fan's estimation, it would take at least 5 months. It was not difficult to take out the sword fragment. The troublesome part was to replenish the metal chi of Su Qiling's fate. To other 5th Revolution pill refinement masters, it was almost impossible. To Ning Fan, however, it would only take him 5 months. Given his personality, he would rarely stay for a woman for 5 months. However, when he saw Su Qiling's haggard face, he would feel an inexplicable pain in his heart. He was not in a hurry to treat her for 5 months. As for the place to treat her injuries, given Ning Fan's personality, he would naturally look for a safe place. Most of the time, Ning Fan was rational. However, Su Qiling was only willing to stay in Gusu during these 5 months of treatment. She wanted to stay in this peaceful world with a small bridge and flowing water. Su Qiling was a sentimental woman. After pondering for a while, Ning Fan did not reject her request in the end. He just silently sent out a messenger flying sword to inform Dong Su and Su Rushan of his and Su Qiling's whereabouts so that they would not be worried. Ning Fan's action of sending out the messenger flying sword had undoubtedly used his magic power, which violated the rules of Gusu. Not long after the messenger flying sword left, 5 rays of hidden traveling light flew across the sky. They seemed to have come to punish the cultivators who violated the rules. They did not know that Ning Fan had used his magic power to send out the messenger flying sword. Otherwise, they would definitely not dare to act rashly after knowing that Ning Fan was a divine transformation realm cultivator. They had been living in Gusu for a long time and concealed their identities for hundreds of years. Hence, they did not know who the ferocious devil Zhou Ming was. Otherwise, how would they dare to question Ning Fan? The 5 old men surrounded the pleasure boat and were secretly surprised. The concealment effect of this pleasure boat was amazing. If it wasn't for the fact that the 5 of them were peak nascent soul realm cultivators, they would definitely not know that there was a pleasure boat in this place. Which friend used your magic power recklessly just now? Don't you know the rules of Gusu? If you don't give us a reasonable explanation, don't blame us for killing you mercilessly. Just as one of the old men asked in a deep voice, a man and a woman immediately walked out from the pleasure boat. The woman was wearing a black robe. Black was an unlucky color, but she did not care about what the secular world thought of her. She just felt that black suited her better as it brought out her fair skin. The man, on the other hand, was dressed in white robes. He no longer wore a black cloak. He was originally dressed in white. For Jihe, he put on the black cloak and entered the devil path. For Su Qiling, he took off the feathered cloak and turned into a mortal. At the moment when Ning Fan and Su Qiling appeared, the 5 old men still took a deep breath even though they did not reveal any trace of their magic power or qi. Ning Fan's eyes were like cold lightning as they scanned through the 5 old men. All of a sudden, the 5 of them felt as if they were being seen through. What kind of cultivation base is this? This man is definitely not a nascent soul realm cultivator. He is a divine transformation realm cultivator. The eyes of the 5 of them were filled with fear. They couldn't understand why a soul formation cultivator who had already severed the mortal realm would come to Gusu to become immortal. The nascent soul cultivators came to kill mortals and soul formation cultivators. What was the purpose of the soul formation cultivators? Moreover, as soon as they thought about the abnormality of the Great Spirit severing formation last night, the 5 of them immediately became certain that the person who had almost broken through to the void refinement realm in Gusu City must be the young man in front of them. What frightened them the most was not Ning Fan's aura, but the coldness in his eyes. His gaze that was as cold as lightning gave the 5 of them an intuition that once Ning Fan makes a move, their blood would instantly splatter on the spot. No, not good. We were scolding a divine transformation realm patriarch just now. How dare we mention Gusu's rules to a deity transformation patriarch? Did Gusu's rules apply to soul formation realm cultivators? If you offend this person, he'll massacre Gusu in an instant. Almost a moment later, the 5 old men lowered their bodies without hesitation and bowed deeply to Ning Fan. We didn't know you were a soul formation stage expert. Please forgive us. Humph. Why should I forgive you? Ning Fan snorted coldly and took a step forward. Weren't the 5 of them aggressive just now? Didn't they say that they would kill me and Su Qiling if I don't give them an explanation? With his personality, he would never show any mercy to his enemies who came to him looking for trouble. However, before Ning Fan could make a move, Su Qiling pulled his sleeve with a reproachful look. Have you forgotten what you've promised me? You're not allowed to kill anyone. You're not allowed to fight. Right now, you're just a mortal. Su Qiling's eyes were pleading. The warmth of her palm slowly melted the coldness in Ning Fan's heart. All right. I won't kill them. Ning Fan's eyes calmed down. The 5 old men immediately felt relieved, but their backs were already drenched in cold sweat. Terrifying. It's too terrifying. They had never seen such a powerful expert in their lives. 100,000 taels of silver for each of you. Hand over the money and get lost. Ning Fan's tone was calm, but there was no room for refusal. The five of them exchanged glances with each other. When they heard that Ning Fan only wanted silver taels, each of them took out a storage pouch and threw it to Ning Fan. Then, they excused themselves and left at a speed faster than when they came. Silver taels were just the wealth of mortals. They were really lucky to be able to keep their lives with some insignificant silver taels. Almost as soon as the five old men returned to Gusu Island, they secretly sent a jade slip to all the cultivators on the island. Within the jade slip, they mentioned Ning Fan's appearance and his surname was Zhou. They also mentioned that they must never offend Ning Fan. As for Ning Fan's cultivation base, they did not mention a word about it. Looking at the disheveled figures of the five old men when they left, Su Qiling burst into laughter. Big brother is really impressive. But no matter what, you've promised me that you won't kill anyone in Gusu Island. By the way, why did you ask for so much silver taels from them? Of course, it's to buy a big house for you to recuperate. Don't tell me you want to drift on the river of Gusu Island with me day and night? The humidity on the river is too heavy. It won't be good for your recuperation. Ning Fan looked back at the island and then at Gusu Island. His eyes turned gentle. Fine. This time, I'll accompany Su Qiling and be immortal for 5 months. If he takes out the fragment of the immortal trapping sword, Su Qiling would certainly need 5 months of recuperation. As for Ning Fan, he could devour the fragment during these 5 months to improve his sword sense. If he has the chance, he could even comprehend sword intent in one go. Even though he was staying in Gusu Island, Ning Fan was still concerned about his cultivation. Su Qiling took just a glance at him and she seemed to have seen through all of his worries. She sighed with pity. It seems like there's no way for you to truly give up on your cultivation. Forget it. Perhaps it's enough for you to enjoy 5 months of peace. Half a day later, the pleasure boat sailed back to the coast and returned to Gusu Island. Unlike before, the black-armored guards who were guarding the coast were now looking at Ning Fan with inexplicable fear in their eyes. Ning Fan did not say much to them. He directly bought a horse carriage and drove it back to Gusu Island with Su Qiling. Su Qiling sat in the carriage and enjoyed the scenery while he sat outside, wielding his whip to drive the carriage. The mortals that they met along the way were not really afraid of Ning Fan. However, the cultivators who lived in seclusion on the island immediately gave way to Ning Fan as soon as they saw his carriage. The largest house in Gusu City was bought by a young couple. This house had a bad reputation in Gusu City because there were many rumors saying that this house was haunted. An old man who used to live in this house was struck by a lightning bolt on a stormy night and disappeared. Therefore, no mortals in Gusu City dared to buy this house. It had been left empty for a long time. As for some cultivators who came to Gusu City to experience the life of the mortals, the more ordinary their lives were, the better it would be. Thus, they would not buy such an eye-catching house at all. Thus, this haunted mansion that no one cared about was bought by Ning Fan for 1,000 silvers. The reason why he bought this house was because it was the place with the densest gold qi in the entire Gusu City. It was the most suitable place for Su Qiling to recuperate. Ning Fan just smiled at the rumor about the haunted house. He did not care about it at all. Mortals were afraid of ghosts. However, to cultivators, controlling ghosts was just a kind of ability of the devil Dao. Presumably, the old man who used to live in this house was a cultivator of the ghost Dao. When he was cultivating the ghost Dao in this house, he was seen by others. That was why there were rumors about it being haunted. As for the disappearance of the Night of Lightning and Lightning, it was probably because the old man had achieved grand accomplishment in the ghost Dao and left during the night. After buying the house, Ning Fan carried out an extremely erotic dual cultivation with Su Qiling in her room on the same night. At the same time, he took out a broken sword from her body. With the pleasure of dual cultivation, Su Qiling did not feel much pain when she took out the sword. On the same night, Ning Fan used tens of types of 10,000 years old spiritual herbs to make a medicinal bath for Su Qiling. Every single one of these 10,000 years old spiritual herbs had rich gold qi. With the help of the medicinal bath and Ning Fan's massage, the gold qi of Su Qiuling's fate was slowly recovering. This was the best treatment plan Ning Fan had come up with. After all, the medicinal power of 10,000 years old spiritual herbs was too strong. Be it concocting pills or decocting medicine, it was not something that Su Qiuling's scarred gold core realm body could bear. The medicinal bath and massage almost lasted for an entire night. Ning Fan could not leave Gusu for even a moment. Otherwise, he would delay Su Qiuling's treatment. Looking at the countless spiritual herbs in the wooden basin, Su Qiuling could not help but feel touched. Each of the 10,000 years old spiritual herbs was a good material for concocting fifth revolution pills. They were good stuff that even her father was reluctant to waste. However, Ning Fan used them for her to bathe. Big brother, am I actually more important than 10,000 years old spiritual herbs in your heart? Su Qiuling's cheeks turned red. She shrunk in the bathtub and asked a silly question. Oh. Is Ling having a fever? If not, why would you talk nonsense? Ning Fan wrapped one of his hands with the power of the black star and massaged Su Qiuling's sensitive parts. His other hand purposely touched Su Qiuling's forehead and teased. Just like that, after several days of treatment, Su Qiuling's body finally began to improve. As the gold qi of her fate recovered, her cultivation base began to improve at a terrifying speed, almost breaking through to the nascent soul realm. When night falls, Ning Fan would carry out the treatment for Su Qiuling. In the morning, Su Qiuling would consume some medicine to recuperate while Ning Fan would sit in the courtyard and observe the blade of a dark red ancient sword. That sword blade was extremely extraordinary. Even though it was just a broken sword, Ning Fan felt like his physical body was about to collapse after holding it with his corpse devil body at the third level of Jade Life Realm. Ning Fan could not help but feel astonished. If it's the real immortal trapping sword, he would not dare to touch it even if his magic power was twice as strong. This is one of the 4 heaven-suppressing swords of the ancient heavenly court, the immortal trapping sword. If I devour this broken sword blade, my sea of consciousness will certainly become more stable and my sword sense will also become stronger. Killing a nascent soul realm cultivator in an instant will be a piece of cake, while Ling Air recuperates, I will cultivate the sword. Not only will I cultivate my sword sense, but I will also cultivate my sword intent. Sword intent. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. His innate talent in the Tao of sword was not weak. He had already comprehended the technique of transforming swords into threads. However, he never had the chance to completely condense his own sword intent. Currently, Ning Fan was still a dabbler in sword intent. If he condenses the real sword intent, the power of his sword finger would be more than doubled. This is an opportunity. The 5 months in Gusu City is the perfect opportunity for me to comprehend sword intent. The sword is my life. The Tao of sword exists in the mortal world of Gusu City. However, where should I start to comprehend sword intent? Ning Fan closed his eyes and recalled the scenes of slaughter in his mind. When he recalled the enemies who wielded swords, he gradually comprehended something. He kept the broken immortal trapping sword and waved his hand. A sharp sword shining with green light appeared in his palm. This sharp sword was just a low-grade magic treasure. It was unknown which unlucky person Ning Fan had obtained it from. However, in the mortal world of Gusu City, this sword was already a peerless divine weapon. Sword intent is actually to turn the sword into intent. The stronger the sword, the weaker the intent. Comprehending a strong intent with a weak sword is the right path. Ning Fan silently studied the sword. His body gradually emitted a sharp and fierce aura. He was in Gusu City, comprehending the sword. However, he was still lacking something to comprehend it. When the cultivators who passed by the house saw Ning Fan's aura, all of them left in shock. On the other hand, the children who lived near the house found it funny when they saw Ning Fan holding the sword in his hand and staring at it like a fool. Isn't this person Uncle Zhou who bought the haunted house? Is he possessed by a ghost? Why is he looking at the sword without saying anything? Hee hee. My mother said that this Uncle Zhou bought the house with a beautiful sister. Maybe they eloped from a wealthy family. Eloped? How shameless. A few children made funny faces at Ning Fan, who was in the house. Some of them even made up a nursery rhyme to tease him. While his mind was in a mess, the scenes of slaughter in the past flashed in his mind. Ning Fan's cold eyes swept across the group of children as if he wanted to kill them. No. They are mortals. Mortals shouldn't get involved in the slaughter of cultivators. Besides, I promised Ling Heir that I won't kill anyone in Gusu City. Killing intent, back off. Ning Fan gritted his teeth and forcefully suppressed his killing intent. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood, dyeing the flowers and plants in the courtyard red. However, his mind gradually calmed down after spitting out this mouthful of blood. They are mortals. They shouldn't be tainted by the blood of the cultivation world. Ning Fan continued to study the sharp sword and no longer looked at the group of children. When the group of children saw Ning Fan spitting out blood all of a sudden, they became a little scared and dispersed. However, when they gradually went further away, they began to make up nursery rhymes to tease Ning Fan about his weak body and how he was angered by the children to the point of spitting out blood. They would never know that if Ning Fan did not spit out that mouthful of blood, the group of children would probably be dead already. My killing intent is too heavy. Ning Fan muttered to himself. He finally somewhat understood Su Qiuling's painstaking efforts. Killing has nothing to do with right or wrong. On the path of cultivation, if you don't kill, you will be killed. However, if you only know how to kill wholeheartedly, there will come a day when you will lose your original heart and walk further and further on the path of seeking truth. Wow! What a beautiful sword! My father is the most famous blacksmith in Gusu City. However, none of the swords he forged in his entire life are as beautiful as this one. After the other children left, there was only one child who stayed behind and looked at Ning Fan enviously. He was an 8 or 9 years old boy with a ponytail. He looked like a dignified boy. The other children teased Ning Fan, but he was the only one who did not do so. It was because this child was attracted by the sharp sword at first glance. His obsession with the sharp sword even made him forget that the house Ning Fan bought was a haunted house. It was the most taboo place for the people of Gusu City to visit. Uncle, are you a swordsman? Did you bleed just now because of the sword chi? I heard from my father that a powerful swordsman would be devoured by the sword chi if they are careless when comprehending the sword chi. Uncle, are you a very powerful swordsman? Can you defeat 10 people alone? I'm not a swordsman. Ning Fan shook his head. A swordsman was a concept of mortals. He was not a swordsman but a cultivator. However, he would never tell this to a child. However, when he saw the infatuated look in the child's eyes, Ning Fan could not help but recall the past. This child was obsessed with martial arts. He was also a good material to cultivate mortal martial arts. His infatuated look was just like Ning Gu, who desired to learn martial arts in the past. Aren't you a swordsman? The child was a little disappointed. If Ning Fan was a swordsman, he would have been prepared to acknowledge Ning Fan as his master. The child's dream was to learn concealed weapons, sword techniques, movement techniques and inner force. In the future, he would roam Gusu and become a great swordsman. Unfortunately, he just could not find a good master. My name is Little Shirtu. Uncle, can you lend me this sword to bring back home? Little Shirtu pleaded. Take it back. It was just a low-grade magic treasure. To Ning Fan, it was useless. However, to this child, it might be his lifelong dream. Ning Gu's shadow could be seen on Little Shirtu. That year, Ning Gu was still learning martial arts from a master while Ning Fan was still a mortal. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a trace of nostalgia. This nostalgia slowly improved his state of mind. Little Shirtu was destined not to understand Ning Fan's expression. However, after receiving Ning Fan's promise, he immediately took the sharp sword and went home happily. He decided that he must hug this sword to sleep tonight. With the sword in his hand, little Shirtu felt as if he had become a hero. Even though this so-called hero was carrying a sharp sword that weighed 10 jin and could not move it at all, he was panting heavily as he walked. Ning Fan looked at little Shita's back. He seemed to have understood something but also seemed to have not. Little Shirtu was immortal. However, there was something in his body that Ning Fan lacked. It was because of this thing that Ning Fan could not condense his sword intent. What am I missing? Ning Fan fell into deep thought. Chapter 351. Ning Fan stood in the empty courtyard. After the double seventh festival, it was already the beginning of autumn. The leaves in the courtyard fell to the ground but no one cleaned them. As the sky darkened, Ning Fan looked up at the sky and saw the red sunset. He vaguely understood something, but the more he understood it, the more confused he became. He seemed to remember the advice of the old devil to stay in the sun more so that he would not suffer from chi deviation. He seemed to remember Jiha's childish face standing in the snow. He recalled the scenes of the Sea of Blood. At the end of the Sea of Blood stood a 10,000 zhang tall giant who could not be reached. With just one step, he could destroy a city in 7 Apricot City. He seemed to see Moksha Emperor's hideous smile and countless sarcastic voices resounded in all directions. Kill! 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 Ning Fan's mind became more and more chaotic. This was chi deviation. He had once experienced chi deviation because of the fire of lust and Jiha was able to save him. This time, it was the fire of killing. He would only be appeased by killing. However, if he kills, he would fall deeper and deeper and one day, he would completely lose his mind. Chioling brought me to Gusu to prevent me from being devoured by her killing intent. If I succumb to her killing intent, wouldn't I be letting her down? I, Ning Fan, kill not because I crave blood but because of my obsession. I am a devil but I am different from the other devils. Whoosh! Gusts of strong wind rose in the courtyard, sweeping up the fallen leaves on the ground. No matter how much killing intent surged in his heart, he did not want to kill anyone in Gusu. He was not willing to succumb to the killing intent. After a long time, the sky gradually turned dark. Ning Fan opened his eyes which were filled with clarity. After forcefully suppressing his killing intent, his state of mind improved a little again. At the same time, a knocking sound came from outside the courtyard. Along with the knocking sound, a gentle and soft voice was heard. Is young Master Zhou asleep? My little Shirtu took young Master's belongings. I'm here to return it to young Master. Creak! Ning Fan flicked his sleeves and opened the door. A beautiful lady in a hemp dress was standing outside the door. She was about 28 or 29 years old. She wore a hemp dress and her black hair was wrapped with a white cloth. Her appearance was dignified and virtuous but her expression was sad as if someone in her family had just died. She carried a basket of eggs in one hand and a fine sword wrapped in silk in the other. Seeing that Ning Fan was still standing in the courtyard and the door of the house had opened by itself, the beautiful lady could not help but recall the rumor that this house was haunted. She felt a little scared. However, when she remembered that her child had taken something from someone else, the beautiful woman gathered her courage and stepped into the courtyard. You are? Ning Fan asked in surprise. I am Bai Su, little Shita's mother. I heard from little Shirtu that this sword was lent to him by young master for him to admire. However, this sword is too precious and is a rare divine weapon. Little Shirtu is still young. Once he loses this weapon, even if he loses it, I will definitely not be able to repay him. Thus, I have come to return this sword. Bai Su tried her best to look calm, but she could not hide the fear in her eyes. Her beautiful eyes swept across the house and noticed that the surroundings were dark and there were no lights. The courtyard was filled with cold wind and the Ning Fan in front of her was excessively young and handsome. She thought to herself, this young Master Zhou who bought this haunted house, could he be a demon or a ghost? That's right, such a good sword could only be possessed by demons and ghosts in the legends. How could a mortal swordsman have such a good sword? Bai Su's husband had just passed away from illness for half a year. She had yet to remove her mourning clothes and live alone with little Shirtu. She thought that she was quite beautiful. If Ning Fan was really a demon, wouldn't it be very inappropriate for her to enter this haunted house at this moment? If she falls into the hands of this demon, she would certainly lose her chastity. Ning Fan naturally did not know that he was already suspected to be a demon or a ghost in Bai Su's eyes. Ning Fan also did not know that this beautiful woman who was wearing mourning clothes was worried that her chastity would be taken away by him. Oh, you are little Shitu's mother. Are you here to return the sword? That sword is just something useless to me. It's fine even if I give it to little Shirtu. There's no need to return it. Ning Fan shook his head. However, after Bai Su heard his words, she immediately put on a serious expression and forgot about her fear. Young Master Zhou, you're wrong. Young Master must be a swordsman since you have such a good sword. As a swordsman, how can you treat a sword as if it's nothing? How can you simply give it to someone else? Even though my husband passed away early and he wasn't a swordsman, he was once the most famous blacksmith in Gusu City. I've seen many famous swordsmen. My husband had once said that a swordsman should be obsessed with the sword. He should have an imposing manner. As long as the sword exists, he will exist. If the sword dies, he will die. Bai Su's words were like a shower of raindrops that sprinkled on Ning Fan's heart. Originally, Ning Fan could not comprehend the sword intent from the sharp sword. He felt that something was missing. Now, after listening to Bai Su's words, he seemed to have an epiphany. That's right. The reason why I haven't condensed the sword intent is because I lack the obsession towards the sword. A swordsman should be obsessed with the sword. Ning Fan did not agree with Bai Su's words. However, he nodded his head and agreed with the words obsessed with the sword. There's no mistake. What little Shirtu had was an obsession towards the sword. Only when one could reach the extreme of emotion could he reach the extreme of the sword. Only when one could reach the extreme of the sword could he reach the extreme of the intent. Gradually, Ning Fan's body gave off a trace of aggressive and sharp sword qi. This sword qi made Bai Su, who was experienced and knowledgeable, immediately opened her red lips in disbelief. What a strong sword qi. I've been in Gusu City for 29 years but I've never seen such a terrifying sword qi. Originally, Bai Su only thought that Ning Fan was a clumsy swordsman who did not care about the sword. But now, how could Bai Su not know that Ning Fan was a profound expert? Return of the sword. Ning Fan looked at Bai Su's bosom and made a suction force across the air. A strong suction force pulled the silk sword from the beautiful woman's bosom into his hand. Telekinesis. This is obviously a technique that only a swordsman with an extremely high level of internal strength can use. Bai Su's beautiful eyes were filled with astonishment. However, this astonishment soon turned into a trace of shyness. The suction force was so strong that it not only took away the sword but also brushed past her chest. It was as if a pair of invisible hands had rubbed her breasts. Of course, it was an accident. Ning Fan did not notice it and it was impossible for Bai Su to expose such a shameful thing. Her beautiful eyes stared at Ning Fan's expression, which was focused on the sword. Bai Su believed that a swordsman like him would not do something as despicable as touching her breasts. That was just an accident. I'm afraid this young Master Zhou is a peerless swordsman. If my husband is still alive and could see young Master Zhou's treasured sword, he would definitely smile in the underworld to know that there is such a swordsman in the world. My husband's lifelong wish is for little Shirtu to become a peerless swordsman. If little Shirtu learns from him, the beautiful woman looked at Ning Fan and then looked at herself. She sighed softly. Ning Fan was wearing white clothes which she had never seen before. He must be someone who was either rich or noble. As for her, after her husband's death, her family's wealth had declined. How could she have the spare money to let her son learn from a famous master? In Bai Su's eyes, Ning Fan was definitely the best swordsman in Gusu City. Little Shirtu could not afford to have such a master. After a long time, Ning Fan dispersed his aura force and pulled the silk cloth away. He once again looked at the sharp sword which was shining with green light. His eyes were different now. When his mind was focused on the sword, it was as if he could hear the sound of the sword breathing. This is the extreme of the sword. What's left is to go from the extreme of the sword to the extreme of the intent to condense the sword intent. Speaking of which, it was all thanks to Bai Su's reminder that he could successfully comprehend this step. Ning Fan raised his eyes and asked in surprise. Madam hasn't left yet? It's already late. Madam is still a virgin. It's easy for people to gossip if she stays in my house, right? Yes. Yes, Bai Su felt embarrassed and annoyed. Of course, she knew that it was inappropriate to enter Ning Fan's house in the middle of the night. However, she did not think about the relationship between a man and a woman at all. She was only thinking about Ning Fan's profound swordsmanship and whether there was a possibility for little Shirtu to acknowledge Ning Fan as his master. Now that she was reminded by Ning Fan, she naturally reacted. She hesitated and hesitated. In the end, she could not bring herself to say it. She let out a faint sigh and was about to leave. When she was about to leave, she remembered that she had brought a basket of eggs with her. She came here to thank Ning Fan for giving little Shirtu the sword, didn't she? I know that young Master Zhou has a big business and doesn't care about these things. However, this basket of eggs is a token of my gratitude to young master for lending me the sword. I heard that Madame Zhou is suffering from an illness. These eggs can be used to nourish Madame's body. Bai Su passed the egg to Ning Fan. Her behavior was appropriate and she bowed. Ning Fan received the eggs and his heart suddenly trembled. These eggs represented the friendship between neighbors in the mortal world. In the cultivation world, giving a gift to a stranger was a stupid thing to do. However, in the mortal world, it was just a basic etiquette to express goodwill. Thank you. Ning Fan sighed with emotion. He had not felt such kindness for a long time. PFFF. Young master is really a wonderful person. It's just a basket of eggs. It's not enough to thank you. Bai Su pursed her lips into a charming smile. At this moment, Su Qiling woke up. She pushed open the door of the house and asked softly. Big brother, it's already late. Why don't you light the lamp? Is there a guest here? Su Qiling was 30% sickly and 70% beautiful. Standing in the night, she was like a fairy that had been banished from the mortal world. When Bai Su saw Su Qiling's beauty, she was stunned and secretly mocked herself. Young Master Zhou has such a beautiful wife. Why would he touch an ugly woman like me? I'm really thinking too much. My name is Bai Su. Greetings, Madame Zhou. It's already late today. I'll pay you a visit another day. Bai Su bowed again and left after bidding farewell. Su Qiling's eyes lit up. If this Bai Su was a few years younger, her beauty would not be inferior to mine by much. After returning the greeting, she watched Bai Su leave and then looked at Ning Fan who was holding the eggs in his hand. Su Qiling burst into laughter. What are you laughing at? I'm laughing at you, great devil Lord Zhou, for carrying a basket of eggs. If the cultivators of the external endless sea see your appearance, I wonder how many of them would be so shocked that their eyeballs would fall off. In Gusu City, the rumor that a young master with the surname Zhou bought a haunted house was gradually forgotten after some heated discussions. As for the people living near the haunted house, they gradually got to know Ning Fan. They knew that this family was a little strange. During the day, Ning Fan would sit in his courtyard with the door open and watch his sword wholeheartedly. In the evening, he would bring a peerless beauty along and go boating on the Su River in Gusu City. However, no one knew that Ning Fan also had a nightlife, which was to treat Su Qiling's injuries with fragrant medicinal baths all night long. Many rumors said that Ning Fan was a swordsman, but no one had ever seen him use a sword. The children gradually stopped teasing Ning Fan. Only little Shirtu seemed to come every day. When Ning Fan looked at his sword, he would also look at his sword, as if he wanted to learn something secretly. Uncle Zhou, are you really not a swordsman? I'll tell you. I promise I won't tell my mother. Little Shirtu begged. No. Ning Fan told the truth. He was indeed not a swordsman. Every time, little Shirtu would reveal a disappointed expression. When night fell, Bai Su would definitely come and take away the pestering little Shirtu. Occasionally, she would prepare some food and wine for Ning Fan. Thus, the rumors about Ning Fan gradually turned into the reputation of being a playboy and lecherous. During the day, he would seduce the widow of a blacksmith's family, and at night, he would go boating with a beauty. All of these rumors fell on Ning Fan's head. To Ning Fan, reputation was nothing but a fleeting cloud. To Bai Su, once her reputation was tainted, it would be hard for her to clear it. Whether it was going to the Su River to wash clothes or going to the market to sell cloth, she would always be pointed at by others. No matter how Bai Su explained, no one would believe her. She had thought of never stepping into Ning Fan's house again. However, in order to let little Shirtu learn the sword, she gritted her teeth and endured the stain. So this is my mother. Ning Fan closed his eyes and said something that little Shirtu could not understand. 1 month later, Ning Fan seemed to have comprehended something from the sharp sword. He kept the sharp sword and took out a purple myrtle flexible sword. This sword was also a low-grade magic treasure. Compared to sharp swords, it was less sharp and firm, but it had more devious moves. Uncle Zhou, you don't want to look at the sharp sword anymore? How can I look at the flexible sword? It's so soft. Can it fight and kill people? Little Shirtu asked in confusion. Of course it can. Ning Fan casually shook the flexible sword. The rockery in the courtyard was shattered into pieces with a sword light. Little Shirtu was stunned. This was the first time he saw Ning Fan in action with his own eyes. A trace of sword chi could shatter a rockery that was as tall as 3 people. This had already reached the level of a divine skill. Uncle Zhou, why you lied to me? You are obviously a swordsman. Little Shirtu said excitedly. He was even more determined to learn the sword from Ning Fan. I didn't lie to you. I am indeed not a swordsman. You have a good aptitude. Perhaps one day, you will walk on my path and understand my words. Ning Fan shook his head and laughed. He did not use any magic power or mortal martial inner force in that sword strike. He just imagined the sword chi in his mind and it was formed. This was the embryonic form of sword intent. In the first month, Ning Fan only looked at the sharp sword. In the second month, Ning Fan only looked at the flexible sword. The Tao of the sharp sword was fierce and fierce. It was invincible. The Tao of the flexible sword was unpredictable. It was soft but hard to deal with. In the third month, Ning Fan took out hundreds of low-grade flying swords and blew them in front of little Shirtu. All of a sudden, those flying swords were ignited with black flames. In just a moment, they were refined into a heavy sword that was 3 chi long and as heavy as a boulder. Little Shirtu was stunned. He felt that Uncle Zhou might not be a swordsman but a legendary sword immortal. He became more and more obsessed with the sword. In the end, he stayed in Ning Fan's house all day long. Bai Su had to spend a lot of effort to bring this silly child away. The weather began to turn cold. In the 4th month, it snowed heavily in Gusu. Little Shitu's thatched cottage was crushed by the wind and snow. Under Su Qiling's invitation, Bai Su brought her child to stay in Ning Fan's house. After Ning Fan robbed the 5 elders, the amount of silver in his house was like a mountain. Thus, there was no need for Bai Su to show her face and earn money. She felt apologetic for receiving Ning Fan's kindness. Thus, she took care of all the household affairs in the house. Su Qiling no longer rested during the day. Her complexion became rosier and rosier. She accompanied by Su every day like a sister. In the 4th month, Ning Fan broke a peach tree in his courtyard and carved out a wooden sword. Little Shirtu was completely confused. The sharp sword was sharp, the flexible sword was treacherous, and the heavy sword was heavy. What advantages did a wooden sword have? Could a wooden sword slash people? Could it kill enemies? If it could, wouldn't everyone have the courage to charge and break through the enemy lines with a wooden sword in hand? Outside the mansion, little Shirtu did not even look at the lively scene of the top scorer riding his horse and parading on the street. People laughed at him for being obsessed with the sword. He laughed at them for being vain and greedy. Their words were immature and old. So what if you're the top scorer? How can the imperial examinations and fame compare to the satisfaction of revenge and gratitude with a sword? In Gusu City, philanthropist Xiao was over 80 years old. He married a beautiful concubine who was only 13 years old. Many villagers went to watch. However, little Shirtu did not even look at the wedding procession. People laughed at him for being obsessed with the sword. He laughed at them for being obsessed with wine and women. Wine, women, avarice, and anger are all fabricated. The sword in my hand is the real thing. Little Shirtu was still immortal. However, under Ning Fan's influence, his heart was almost filled by the sword. As long as he gained more experience in the future, he could become a peerless swordsman in the mortal world with a sword in his hand. It would be difficult for him to be defeated. In the immortal world, he could shatter the void and roll the waves. He had the aptitude. Holding the wooden sword in his hand, Ning Fan gradually moved forward. Even when he waved the wooden sword, it would stir up smoke and dust. It was a realm where no move was better than having a move. However, it was still not enough. In the 5th month, Ning Fan did not have a sword in his hand. An invisible aura condensed on Ning Fan's body. It was just the last step before it could be unleashed. Little Shitu's eyes were burning with passion. When he saw Ning Fan flicking his finger and the sword chi flew out, crushing a 30,000 gene boulder. At that moment, a kind of fanaticism rose in little Shitu's heart. He wanted to become a swordsman. Uncle Zhou, I want to become a swordsman. Can you be my master? Little Shirtu knelt in front of Ning Fan. However, Ning Fan just smiled and shook his head. Your aptitude in the Tao of sword might not be weaker than mine. If you become my disciple, it will definitely harm you. You just need to remember the process of me comprehending the sword for 5 months. With this understanding, you will challenge all the swordsmen in the world with just one sword. Finally, one day, you will find your own Tao of sword. You are still too young now. You only have the sword in your eyes but not life. This is not enough. Gusu is a good place. Get along well with your mother and be filial to her. These are 2 pills. If you and your mother consume one each, your lifespan will be extended by 100 years. This book is a cultivation method for the Tao of sword that will guide you on the path of cultivation. However, I have a request. If your sword technique is not invincible in the mortal world, you must not open this book. When the day comes when you cannot be defeated in the world, you can open this book and enter the cultivation world. It will be a whole new world with more challenges. I hope you will be satisfied. Ning Fan's gaze swept across Gusu. He had been detained here for 5 months. It was time for him to leave. The silver and the house were all left to little Shirtu. Even the sharp sword, the soft sword, the heavy sword and the wooden sword that he comprehended casually were also left to him. Holding Su Qiling in his arms, Ning Fan took a step forward and turned into a ray of sword light, vanishing into thin air. Little Shirtu was stunned by the scene while Bai Su felt a trace of sadness for no reason. Young Master Zhou has left. It turns out that he is not immortal. It turns out that there are really immortals in this world. An indescribable feeling of disappointment welled up in his heart. Bai Su did not know what kind of feeling he was feeling. He just let out a soft sigh. That's good too. A ray of sword light flashed. Holding Su Qiling in his arms, Ning Fan took a step out of the island and went to the sea. When they were 90,000 zhang deep in the sea, he waved his hand and sword light appeared, parting the seawater and creating a space without water. After 5 months of recuperation, 90% of Su Qiling's fate golden qi had recovered. Next, he just needs to inject a trace of extremely strong golden qi into her body and she would be cured. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out the dark red remnant of the immortal trapping sword. His eyes flashed and he swallowed it. He forced the remnant into his sea of consciousness and it was devoured by his sword sense. All of a sudden, his sword sense rose rapidly. The sword intent that he had comprehended in the past 5 months broke through the last barrier at this moment. Sword intent, condense. Without sword intent, one would not be considered as a true sword cultivator. With sword intent, one could only display 200% of the power of a sword move. Congratulations, big brother, for successfully achieving your sword intent. However, is it really good to leave Gusu just like this? Aren't you going to take that little stone as your disciple? Bai Su, aren't you going to? My fate with the mortal world is over. Ning Fan answered firmly. Mortals should have a mortal life. Even though he had given Little Stone a sword cultivation method in the end, he would not allow him to cultivate if he could not reach the undefeatable realm in the mortal world. Cultivation was a path of no return. It might not be suitable for mortals. There was too much bloodshed in this place. If one could enjoy the peace of Gusu, why would they want to be like Ning Fan and fall into endless battles? Ning Fan had forgotten about the matter in Gusu. The most beautiful memories in his life were once in 7 Apricot City. Then, he had Luoyun City and now, he had Gusu City. If it was possible, he would like to stay in Gusu City forever and spend the rest of his life there. However, he had a reason that he could not stop. Next, I will force out a trace of the immortal trapping sword's power and guide it into your immortal veins. Then, I will help you refine this power. If everything is successful, not only will your birth chart's golden qi be replenished, your cultivation base will also improve tremendously. You can at least reach the half-step divine transformation realm. I don't care about my cultivation base. If I can survive and continue to accompany you and relieve your exhaustion from killing, I will be satisfied. Su Qiling looked at Ning Fan with deep affection. When their palms touched, a trace of sword force was forced into her body from Ning Fan's palm. All of a sudden, Su Qiling's face was filled with pain. However, she gritted her teeth and endured it. If I cannot bear this pain, I will not be qualified to stay with Ning Fan forever. What's pain? Even though the orchid was withering day by day, it was still waiting for the butterfly's return. Even if it was only ashes that came, ouch! Su Qiling clenched her teeth tightly. She was in so much pain that she almost lost consciousness. However, she desperately opened her eyes and looked at Ning Fan. It was as if she would not care about the pain and suffering as long as she looked at Ning Fan. Huff an aura force that was getting stronger and stronger began to take shape inside Su Qiling's body. Everyone said that she would not live for long. However, she insisted on living with an even prouder attitude. As her birth chart was replenished, her cultivation base that was suppressed because of her illness began to rise rapidly. In the past, it was not that Su Qiling could not break through to the nascent soul realm. She just did not dare to do so because breaking through to the nascent soul realm required the unification of the 5 elements. Her birth chart lacked the golden qi. Thus, she could not form her nascent soul. However, the magic power that she had accumulated over the years had been accumulating in her body just for this day, to be unleashed. Magic power, 5,500 units. Half-step divine transformation realm. Big brother. Aye. Tears of joy flowed down Su Qiling's cheeks. She had finally overcome her birth chart and lived on. All of a sudden, countless tribulation lightning bolts descended and sank into the bottom of the sea. Ning Fan wanted to help Su Qiling block the tribulation lightning but she shook her head and smiled indifferently. It's all right. I can do it. I don't want to be a woman who burdens you. Chapter 352. Su Qiling wore a black dress. Her facial features were as beautiful as a painting. Facing the lightning tribulation above her head, she was calm and fearless. She was not a timid woman. She had never been one. Shadows of flying flowers surrounded her body. It was as if every inch of her magic power had turned into pitch-black petals. As she took a step forward, countless rare and precious flowers and plants in the deep sea withered rapidly. All the power of the flowers and plants went into Su Qiling's body. At this moment, her half-step divine transformation realm aura was infinitely close to that of a true divine transformation realm expert. This is the Black Flower Emperor physique. Ning Fan's expression changed. He was secretly shocked. He had never thought that Su Qiling would have such an outstanding aptitude. The Black Flower Emperor physique was the nemesis of almost all flower-type demons and magic techniques. Moreover, she had a secret technique that allowed her to increase her strength by withering hundreds of flowers. Rumor has it that the Black Flower Emperor physique could only be born in special cultivators. The first condition was that the cultivator must be a female cultivator with a yin attribute physique. The second condition was that the female cultivator must have been a flower-type body in her previous life and had cultivated to the Flower Emperor realm. In the past, Su Qiling's fate was lacking in gold and her physique had yet to show. Today, however, after her fate was filled, her physique became complete. As she took a step forward, she was like a flower empress with a majestic aura that made hundreds of flowers submit to her. Tribulation, break. Su Qiling's beautiful eyes turned cold. She raised her hand and the sky was filled with falling black flowers. In her hand, a black garland slowly condensed and shone with a terrifying black light. The garland was tossed into the sky. It was like a crescent-shaped blade light that cut through the middle. All the silver lightning in the sky was cut off by the garland. The lightning tribulation was destroyed. Even the lightning was cut off. The speed of this garland's attack was so fast. Ning Fan pondered inwardly. There were not many cultivators below the divine transformation realm who could withstand Su Qiling's attack. This lady was indifferent to life and death. She was not afraid of suffering. Her temperament was rare among all the women Ning Fan had met. If she was not troubled by her fate, her aptitude would be even better than the so-called seven sons of the external endless sea. I did it. Su Qiling smiled like an orchid. However, her face was slightly pale. It seemed that the withering of hundreds of flowers to increase her strength was quite a burden on her body. Coupled with the fact that he had just replenished his metal chi, his body inevitably felt a little weak. If he was not careful, he would fall. In a flash of light, he held Su Qiling's wrist and his eyes were filled with emotions. Your physique is so outstanding. If you can find a flower immortal, fiend god cultivation method, your realm will definitely advance by leaps and bounds. In terms of physique, I am inferior to you. Empress Lady Mystic Flower had a special physique, just like Jihe's innate charm. She was born with superiority that others couldn't compare to. Ning Fan did not have any special physique. The only thing that made him luckier than the other geniuses was the profoundness of his yin-yang transformation. Of course, if Ning Fan had a physique similar to the yin-yang body, his aptitude would certainly be higher. In response to Ning Fan's praise, Su Qiling smiled faintly and said with a firm tone. You must be joking, big brother. To Qiling, even if you don't have any special constitution, you're still the best. Now that your injuries have healed, you still need to rest. Let's return to Pleasure Devil Island and recuperate. No, let's recuperate in Gusu, okay? Pleasure Devil Island is like a cage. I don't like it. Su Qiling begged. Silly girl. If you have me by your side, Gusu will be everywhere in the world. Ning Fan stroked Su Qiling's cheek. His words made Su Qiling's beautiful eyes light up. You're right, big brother. Qiling is too obsessed. If big brother is herding horses at the frontier, Qiling will weave clothes and herd sheep for him. If Big Brother is serving the emperor as a subject in the imperial court, Choling will live in harmony with him. If Big Brother is fighting against the heavens with his sword, Choling will follow him with wine and accompany him to drink to relieve his boredom. If Big Brother turns into a butterfly and fights against the heavens, Choling will give up her petals to help Big Brother spread his wings and soar higher. As long as we're together in life and death, Gusu will be everywhere. Su Choling's words were filled with sincerity. It touched Ning Fan quite a bit. He had been suffering all his life. When he was young, he was bullied by others. Until that day, he had no choice but to rebel against the all-pleasure sect. After abandoning his mortality and becoming a devil, he shuttled through the sea of blood. Even though he had countless beauties, he was often lonely. This loneliness was the persistence of having to face everything alone. Today, however, Su Choling was willing to share the burden for Ning Fan. Ning Fan's infamy shocked the world. However, the more infamy he had, the more people were afraid of him and hated him. Ning Fan's cultivation method was despicable and shameless. However, Su Choling had tolerated him time and time again. As long as we're together in life and death, Gusu will be everywhere, thank you. Ning Fan's heart warmed. He was even more convinced that it was the right decision for him to step into the cultivation world. If he did not cultivate and was willing to die as a mortal, he would not be able to meet so many beauties in his entire life. Let's return to the Pleasure Devil Island first. After that, there are still some karma that needs to be settled. Some people need to meet and some forces need to be taught a lesson. After that, I will enter the Eternal Endless Sea. If Big Brother enters the Eternal Endless Sea and goes to the Giant Devil Clan, Choling will also go with you. I haven't seen little sister Shuyan for a long time. I miss her very much. Ning Fan thought that the little sister Shuyan that Choling mentioned was probably the little princess of the Giant Devil Clan, Feng Shuyan. Just as he was about to ask about the background of the Giant Devil Clan, the sound of an island collapsing resounded from above the sea. Boom! The sound was soul-stirring. It was definitely not at the level of a volcano or an earthquake. It was the sound of a powerful cultivator attacking Gusu Island. What happened? Why is there such a sound in Gusu Island? Fourth uncle, Uncle Chi, little sister by Su, little stone. Big brother, I'm a little worried about Gusu Island. Let's go and check it out quickly. Su Choling's calm expression could not conceal a trace of panic. Of course we have to go. A hint of uneasiness rose in Ning Fan's heart. His spirit sense swept across 50,000 li and reached Gusu's city above the sea. As far as his eyes could see, it was a sea of blood. Someone was here, dyeing Gusu's city with blood. Whoosh! He held Su Choling in his arms and turned into a ray of sword light. With a swoosh, he split the sea and soared into the sky with a trace of cold anger. In the sky above Gusu's city above the sea, 3 black-robed swordsmen were standing in the sky. The sound of the explosion just now was obviously caused by one of them breaking the spirit-severing grand formation with a single sword strike and splitting the island into 2. As the 3 of them broke the formation light of Gusu's city, one of the swordsmen who was as fat as a mountain immediately burst into laughter and started a massacre in Gusu's city. This person's magic power was as vast as the ocean. With a single sword ray, 1/3 of the island was immediately reduced to ashes. When he was killing, he even used his spirit sense to sweep across the area. Whenever he discovered a woman with decent looks, he would summon a gust of black wind and put them into a large sack. In just a few breaths' time, he had already plundered thousands of women. As a sword cultivator, you actually lusted after women and external objects. No wonder you couldn't condense your sword intent even after cultivating the sword for 2,000 years. Among the 2 swordsmen who were watching from the side, the tall and skinny one said disdainfully while looking at the swordsman who was like a mountain of flesh. Humph. Even if I don't cultivate my sword intent, my strength won't lose to the 2 of you. These women are very useful. Not only can I enjoy them, but I can also feed them to my limitless sword as the sword spirit's food. Hee hee. Mortal women are especially untainted by the chi of cultivators. Their souls are the purest. They are the best to refine my sword soul. Don't forget our original purpose. Don't tell me the three of us are here to capture some mortal women. A bald swordsman stood beside the tall and skinny swordsman. His expression was also impatient. Original purpose? Of course I remember. The three of us are the top 50 experts in the Devil Appraisal list of the Internal Endless Sea. We were invited by Purple Goo to join the Ming Assassin Alliance in order to kill Zhou Ming with a single strike. However, the three of us have gone to Pleasure Devil Island to investigate. Zhou Ming is not on the island at all. How are we going to assassinate him? We might as well return to Immortal Abode Island to complete our mission. Since we have encountered such a good mortal country along the way, it would be a waste if we don't massacre them. The swordsman who was like a mountain of flesh sneered as he continued to capture women. When he had captured almost 10,000 women, he nodded his head in satisfaction. Looking at the half-destroyed Gusu city, he said with a hideous smile. Wang Kuan, you go, I'll leave this matter to the two of you. I'll go back to Immortal Abode Island to enjoy the beauties. Luo Sen, you. The swordsman who was like a mountain of flesh laughed. He carried the sack that was filled with women and summoned a flying sword that shone with blood-red light. In just a few seconds, he had already traveled hundreds of thousands of miles. These three people were the three famous demons in the Internal Endless Sea. The man who was like a mountain of flesh was called Luo Sen, and he was lustful by nature. The tall and skinny man was called Wang Kuan, and he loved torturing and killing mortals the most. As for Yu Gu, he only had one hobby, and that was to eat the flesh and blood of living people. The three of them were the top 50 experts in the Internal Endless Sea, and all of them were at the Middle Divine Transformation realm. And their motive for massacring Gusu City was obviously just for fun. Damn it! In Gusu City, 5 old men were trapped in a sword silk light screen. That light screen was obviously a sword silk technique that someone had used. The eyes of the 5 great cultivators were bloodshot. Just now, these 3 people's flying lights passed by Gusu City. The 5 old men did not know that they were here, so they appeared to stop them and begged them to stop. They did not want mortals to know that there were immortals in the world. If these words were said to the cultivators in the Outer Endless Sea, everyone would naturally listen to them. After all, this was an unwritten rule in the Outer Endless Sea. Gusu City was a place where one cultivated their heart to become immortal. Any cultivator in the Outer Endless Sea, including the 13 Divine Transformation Realm old ancestors from the Outer Endless Sea, might need to comprehend the mortal world here one day. Therefore, no evil cultivator in the Outer Endless Sea would risk offending the 13 old ancestors and bully a few mortals here. However, Luo Sen and the other 2 were different. The 3 of them were originally evil cultivators in the Internal Endless Sea, and they were even at the Middle Divine Transformation Realm. They did not fear any cultivators in the Outer Endless Sea, including those old ancestors from the Outer Endless Sea. It was naturally impossible for them to stop because of the request of the 5 great cultivators. Instead, they wanted to torture and kill Gusu City. Wang Kuan casually turned his sword into threads and trapped the 5 old men. He wanted them to personally witness Gusu City being massacred. Wang Kuan's intent realm was hatred. The more people hated him, the more he would be able to improve his intent realm after he killed them. Wang Kuan could tell at a glance that the 5 old men were wholeheartedly protecting Gusu City. Therefore, he was willing to help Luo Sen massacre Gusu City and make the 5 old men hate him to the bone. In the end, when they were in despair, he would kill the 5 great cultivators to improve his intent realm. You are all Divine Transformation Realm cultivators. Why do you have to bully mere mortals? What crime have mortals committed? The green-robed old man who was the leader of the 5 old men asked angrily. His eyes were bloodshot, and he was enraged. He was born in Gusu City. Due to a fortuitous encounter, he was once enlightened by a cultivator and walked on the path of cultivation. He walked on the path of cultivation and killed all the way until he reached the realm of a great cultivator. However, he did not pursue a higher realm after that. Instead, he returned to Gusu's city and spent the rest of his life peacefully. This was his home, but his home was destroyed by someone. His descendants were even exterminated by Luo Sen's sword. Give me a reason. Give me a reason to massacre Gusu's city. The green-robed old man roared. His eyes were wide open, and blood flowed out of anger. Reason. The reason is that you are all too weak. The weak don't have the right to live. Wang Kun laughed loudly. Luo Sen had left with the beauties, but he, Wang Kun, was more than happy to replace Luo Sen and massacre the city. He descended and swung his sword as he walked among the mortals. The mortals were dumbfounded as they looked at Wang Kun, who was walking over with his sword. Before today, they never knew that immortals existed in this world. They never knew that there was someone who could raze a city to the ground and destroy an island with a single sword. Looking at Wang Kun, who was walking over with his sword and was covered in black qi, the mortals were terrified. They knelt down and begged for mercy. Great! Great immortal, spare us! Spare us! Ah! Wang Kun beheaded those who begged for mercy without even looking at them. He did not like those who begged for mercy. Those who begged for mercy were afraid of him and did not have any resentment. He liked those who swore to die rather than submit. The more they refused to submit, the more he wanted to crush their dignity and make them resent him. He shuttled through the mountains of corpses and seas of blood. There were mortals who were fleeing everywhere. However, how fast could the mortals run? Could they be faster than the sword light of a mid-divine transformation realm cultivator? Ah! One after another, the mortals died under Wang Kun's feet. However, the more he killed, the more unhappy he felt. He wanted to find someone who could resent him. Chapter 353. Ah! Mortals died under Wang Kun's feet one after another, but the more he killed, the more unhappy he became. He wanted to find someone who could hate him. Wang Kun scanned with his divine perception and suddenly sneered. His body turned into a 10,000 feet long sword light that charged towards a certain direction in the city. All the houses, humans, and beasts that were in the way of the sword light were shattered into pieces. He retracted his sword light and landed in front of the manor of proclamation, his eyes filled with disdain. This Shuang Yuan's mansion had just been renovated not too long ago, and its owner had entered the imperial examinations. But as Wang Kun took a step in, all the servants who resisted him died. Interesting. This group of mortal servants actually dares to contend against me. Good. Only like this can we kill to our heart's content. His gaze landed on a white-haired old scholar who stood amidst a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. This old scholar had diligently studied for 70 years just to comprehend the way to save the world and the people. When he was 79 years old, he felt that he had made some progress in his studies, so he took part in the imperial examinations and got first place. He rode on his horse and paraded through the streets to promote his political principles. He personally met the emperor and used his life to remonstrate. He received the emperor's respect and was bestowed with the sword of Shangfang, which was used to execute the 10 sycophants. He was an unyielding old man, and he was respected by the people of Gusu. He looked indifferently at Wang Kun with contempt and anger. Why did you slaughter Gusu? Give me a reason. The reason is, I like killing people. He loves to torture and kill mortals like you. Wang Kun laughed out loud. His laughter caused the elder's anger to turn into calmness and a trace of contempt. So that's how it is, killing for pleasure. What a good reason. What a good reason. Those who are superior bully those who are inferior are mere ants. You are an ant that only knows how to bully the weak. In the eyes of the old Confucian, Wang Kun was merely an ant. Wang Kun's eyes turned cold as he cleaved the old scholar into two with a cold sword beam. As he licked the blood off the tip of his sword, Wang Kun revealed a look of joy. After killing this old Confucian, his state had improved significantly. That's how it should be. If you don't hate me, killing you would only be burying my hands. His eyes were wild. He took a step forward, turned into a sword light, and dashed toward another manor. That place was called the Zhao residence, and the famous philanthropist Zhao of Gusu lived there. His name was Zhao Shan. When he was young, he was a playboy. Even when he was old, he was still a playboy. Although he was dissolute, he often provided disaster relief to the people. Countless people of Gusu had received his kindness. Not long ago, Zhao Shan had just married a young lady. It was a joyous occasion. But at this moment, Zhao Shan, with his old body, looked at the girl who had committed suicide in the courtyard, his eyes filled with hatred. His wives and concubines were all extremely beautiful. When Luosan came to kidnap them, they all committed suicide in order to preserve their chastity. He looked at Wang Kuan with bloodshot eyes. He looked at his dead wife and concubine and felt his intestines shatter. Give me a reason. Give me a reason to slaughter my entire clan. Reason? This is the reason why I like to kill people. Wang Kuan looked at Zhao Shan. He wanted to infuriate Zhao Shan even more. His black sword slashed at the female corpses on the ground. He did not even leave the corpses intact. You're not human. You're not human. With his aged body, Zhao Shan held a walking stick and struck Wang Kuan. He hated himself for being old and weak. He hated Wang Kuan's viciousness. All right. This is the expression you should have. PFFF. The black sword pierced into Zhao Shan's heart and minced him into pieces. Wang Kuan felt that his intent realm had improved again. The 5 elders who were trapped in the sword threads could no longer endure it. This was the place where they had lived in seclusion for 1,000 years. They could almost recognize all the millions of mortals in Gusu city. This old man will fight it out with you. The green-robed elder's eyes were bloodshot. He could no longer let Wang Kuan continue killing. His nascent soul left his body and formed hand seals frantically. His body was burning with raging blood light like a blood-colored sun. He was going to fight it out with Wang Kuan. He was going to self-detonate. Boom! A grand cultivator's self-detonation had actually blasted a hole in Wang Kuan's sword threads. The other 4 elders didn't have any thoughts of pitying their comrade. They only had one thought, to step on their comrade's corpse and take revenge for them. Hateful. One of them actually self-detonated. Just like that, one of them has been wasted. Wang Kuan felt that it was a pity. However, something even more pitiful happened. Yu Gu, who had nothing else to do, saw the 4 elders rushing out of the sword threads. His eyes lit up and slashed with the golden sword in his hand. An unparalleled sword light slashed the dying elder to death. As for the nascent souls of the 4 elders, they were eaten into Yu Ji's stomach. Yu Gu! You snatched my prey. Wang Kuan was enraged. He had killed so many people to arouse the resentment of the 5 elders. However, all of them were killed by Yu Gu. Humph. So what if I snatched it? Are you going to kill them or not? If you don't, this old man will use the corpse-devouring technique to devour the entire Gusu city. No need. I haven't killed enough. Wang Kuan glared at Yu Gu. He knew that this wasn't the time to be calculative with Yu Gu. He looked at a courtyard and his eyes suddenly lit up. A sword light rushed over. Wang Kuan stood outside the courtyard and sneered when he saw a child holding a wooden sword and a beautiful woman who was still in mourning clothes and had a terrified expression. You killed Uncle Su, third Aunt Yang, and Grandpa Chu. I will fight it out with you. Little Shida's eyes were bloodshot. He pointed the wooden sword in his hand at Wang Kuan. What a great expression. What a great expression. Wang Kuan was overjoyed. He didn't expect a child to have such a strong resentment. No wonder the corpse refiner devil loved to refine corpses with children. The younger the child, the purer his heart was. When he was filled with hatred, he would be more powerful. Little Shirtu, go. Go. Mother will stop him. Go quickly. Bai Su revealed a panicked expression. She had never seen a cultivator in her life. Wang Kuan squinted his eyes and seemed to have noticed something. If I let you hate me and kill you, my intent realm will have a chance to break through to the phenomenal stage within 100 years. Is this woman your mother? Hee. Wang Kuan glanced at Bai Su's delicate body and licked his lips. With his cultivation, he could tell with a single glance that Bai Su and little Shirtu had a trace of similar aura in their bloodline. They were most likely mother and son. Don't touch my mother. Little Shirtu blocked in front of Bai Su. However, how could a wooden sword stop a devil? Wang Kuan didn't even look at little Shirtu. He put away the black sword and pointed with his finger to stop Bai Su. Then, he stretched out both of his hands, wanting to grab Bai Su's face. Although he hated dual cultivation, if he could humiliate Bai Su and make little Shirtu hate him, he would be more than happy. However, before his devil claws could touch Bai Su, he saw a wooden sword slash at Wang Kuan's wrist. Even with his mid-divine transformation realm physical body, a trace of blood was left on his wrist by the wooden sword. Immediately, Wang Kuan was shocked and retreated 100 meters. When he confirmed that it was only little Shirtu who slashed at him, he was shocked. Who made this wooden sword? Such a strong sword intent. Just a trace of it is enough to break my physical body's defense. While Wang Kuan was shocked, countless sea boats came to the rescue outside Gusu City. Rays of nascent soul realm flying lights rushed over without caring about anything. The leader was a mid-nascent soul realm burly man. Wang Si. When they scanned Gusu City with their divine senses, every nascent soul realm old monster was filled with grief and indignation. Who are you? Who are you? Why did you do this? Why? Why? Humph. Before Wang Kuan could finish his words, he saw Wang Si turning into a ray of ferocious light and dashing towards him fearlessly. Don't hurt little Shirtu. Wang Si's eyes were filled with worry. When he scanned the place with his divine sense, he found that Ning Fan and Su Qiling were not in the residence. He thought that the two of them had been killed by Wang Kuan. Who are you? You killed Qiling and her husband. You deserve to die. Hundreds of years ago, it was Wang Si who brought Dong Su and Qiling to Gusu City. During that time, Qiling stayed in Gusu City for several years like Wang Si's niece. After hundreds of years, Qiling brought her husband back to Gusu City. Today, however, she died in Wang Kuan's hands. You killed my niece. I'm going to kill you. Ah! Wang Si rushed towards Wang Kuan. However, Wang Kuan did not even have the interest to look at him. Wang Si held a grudge, but it was nothing compared to little Shirtu's. I don't need your grudge anymore. Get lost. Boom! Wang Kuan stomped down, forming an indescribable destructive force that slammed into Wang Si's chest. With just a single collision, Wang Si's meridians were all broken. He was sent flying while coughing out blood. Even though he did not die, he was severely injured and half-crippled. While coughing out blood, he watched Wang Kuan approaching little Shirtu step by step and Bai Su with a lecherous smile. Wang Si's eyes were bloodshot. He wanted to kill Wang Kuan but he could not do it. Give me a reason. Give Gusu a reason. He roared at the sky. He was unwilling. He was unwilling to be weak, unwilling to be ordinary and unwilling to be trampled on by others. Reason? The reason is, you guys are too weak. Wang Sun drew a sword thread with his finger. The sword thread formed a prison and trapped little Shirtu within it. Then, he walked towards Bai Su step by step. Looking at Bai Su's curvaceous body and her eyes which were filled with resentment but worried for little Shirtu, Wang Sun felt extremely satisfied. Suddenly, he understood that it was not unreasonable for Luo Sun to like women. Bai Su closed her eyes in humiliation. She could imagine that in another 10 breaths, no, 9 breaths, her great chastity would be completely humiliated by Wang Kun. Young Master Zhou. You are not as good as him. Young Master Zhou is most likely an immortal, but he has never made a move on us mortals. No matter how the people in the city laughed at him and looked down on him, he would just laugh it off. You are not as good as him. Bai Su had already decided to commit suicide by biting her tongue when Wang Kun approached her. She would never hand her body over to a trash like Wang Kun. Young Master Zhou. What bullshit, Young Master Zhou. You said he is stronger than me. You said I am not as good as him. Ridiculous. Wang Kun laughed heartily. He felt that the mortals in this place were too good at making jokes. Wang Kun, started cultivating at the age of 7, entered Yellow Cloud Valley at the age of 19, reached the harmonious spirit realm at the age of 23, formed my core at the age of 319 and formed my nascent soul at the age of 752. Spirit Severing Realm at the age of 1400 and Mid-Spirit Severing Realm at the age of 2200. What is the cultivation base of this Young Master Zhou you are talking about? Wang Kun did not immediately humiliate Bai Su. He looked at her from afar. Suddenly, he felt that it was very satisfying to make this woman submit to him with her last bit of pride. I don't know. I don't know what cultivation base is. I don't know what realm he is at. I just have a feeling that if you kill us, we are like ants. If he kills you, we are also like ants. I believe he is the one who cut this wooden sword. Bai Su smiled sadly. She did not know anything about cultivation at all. She only knew that if Ning Fan was also a cultivator, he would be thousands of times stronger than Wang Kun. Wang Kun did not take her words to heart at all. However, when he heard that the wooden sword that injured him was actually cut by Young Master Zhou, he could not help but feel a little fearful of him. Young Master Zhou. You keep calling him Young Master Zhou. Don't tell me you don't even know his name. What is his name? His name is... Bai Su pursed her lips and smiled bitterly. She did not even know Ning Fan's name. His name is Zhou Ming. Bai Su did not answer, but a voice that was as cold as 10,000 zhang answered for her. At the moment the voice fell, the sound of a sword light breaking through the sea was heard. Before Wang Kun could react, he was shocked. In front of him, in front of Bai Su, Little Shi Tu, and the others, a young man in white robes appeared out of thin air while holding a lady in black robes in his arms. That traveling light was obviously the sword-shifting technique that he displayed after comprehending the sword intent. It was much faster than the teleportation technique of ordinary divine transformation realm cultivators. It was indeed too fast. It was so fast that Wang Kun and Yugu did not know how Ning Fan appeared. An immense pressure was emitted from Ning Fan's body, making Wang Kun and Yugu feel suffocated. The two of them immediately recognized that the young man in white robes in front of them was the person they were supposed to assassinate. Zhou Ming. Ning Fan closed his eyes slightly. His spirit sense swept across 50,000 li, scanning through every inch of Gusu's land. Within this short period of time, 2/3 of the people in Gusu had already died. It had only been a day since he brought Su Qiuling into the sea to heal her injuries. However, Gusu had already changed beyond recognition. Give me a reason. A reason to massacre Gusu. Ning Fan tried his best to speak calmly. Even though the 5 months of living here was short, this place had given him a warm memory. This memory was cruelly shattered by someone. A reason? Mortals are weak and they deserve to die. So what if I kill them? Zhou Ming, you're just a devil lord who kills without blinking an eye. Why do you have to pretend to be noble and virtuous here? It's great that you're here. I can kill you and claim credit for the alliance of Ming assassins. Then, I can. Wang Kun looked at Ning Fan with a hideous smile. However, before he could finish his words, a terrifying killing intent that made the heavens tremble spread out from Ning Fan's body and engulfed the entire Gusu. Give me a reason. Ning Fan's eyes shot out cold lightning. He took a step forward and it was as if thousands of layers of wind and clouds were stirred up. Suddenly, heaven and earth changed its color. When he took this step, a sense of impending death engulfed Wang Kuen's heart. Before Wang Kuen could even react, Ning Fan's palm had already closed in on him with an earth-shattering aura force. Wang Kuen only had enough time to place the black sword in front of his chest, allowing Ning Fan's palm strike to land on the black sword. That black sword was forged with black iron that had been tempered for thousands of times. It could withstand a landslide without being destroyed. That black sword was a mid-grade divine transformation realm spiritual treasure. It could kill an early divine transformation realm cultivator as if it was child's play. However, under the force of Ning Fan's palm strike, such a good sword suddenly turned into dust. A strong and violent force struck Wang Kuen's chest, shattering his 3 layers of spiritual armor. With just a single palm strike, Wang Kuen's muscles and bones were all broken. His physical body trembled and turned into a mist of blood. After killing Wang Kuen, the remaining force of the palm strike did not decrease at all. It passed through Gusu Island and spread to the deep sea. In an instant, the sea within 100,000 li was dispersed by the force of Ning Fan's palm strike. Thousands of water dragons soared into the sky. Yu Ji's expression changed drastically. He could not believe that a dignified mid-divine transformation realm cultivator like Wang Kuen would be killed by Ning Fan with a single palm strike. Before he could react, he suddenly felt a cold ray of light rising from his back. Behind him, Ning Fan instantly appeared like a ghost. He reached out his hand and pierced his dantian from the back of his waist, forcefully pulling out his primordial spirit. Wang Kuen and Yu Ji's primordial spirits were held tightly in Ning Fan's hands. Both of them were terrified. It was as if they had just witnessed something that they could not understand. Both of them were mid-divine transformation realm cultivators, but they were actually killed by Ning Fan in an instant. How is this possible? Other than the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea, who else could kill a mid-divine transformation realm cultivator in an instant? What is your cultivation base? Killing a mid-divine transformation realm cultivator in an instant. You are not an early divine transformation realm cultivator. You are definitely not. Don't kill me. I was invited here by Zigu. It was Zigu who said that I can kill anyone in the external endless sea as I please. You can't kill me. If you kill me, you will surely offend Zigu, the demon sealing sect and the venerated demon. It's easy for you to kill me, but it's equally easy for the venerated demon to kill you. Venerated demon. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with cold light. Wang Kuen and Yugo seemed to have found some bargaining chips that Ning Fan was afraid of. Their courage gradually grew. That's right. It's the venerated demon. If you kill us, you will surely offend the venerated demon. You said that if I kill all of you, I will offend Lu Jiefan. Ning Fan stared at the ruins of the Blood Sea in Gusu Island. His chest was filled with killing intent that he could not vent out. I was too merciful by not annihilating the Ming Assassination Alliance immediately. That's why I left behind this trouble. I am too merciful by not annihilating the demon sealing sect. That's why Zigu, the clown, is so full of himself. The common people should not die in wars, and the common people should not die in the sea of blood of cultivators. Especially Gusu Island, which had brought him warmth. He would not allow anyone to destroy it at will. You said that I will offend Lu Jiefan. Then, I will show you whether I will offend him or not. Yingzhou Immortal Island, Ming Assassination Alliance. You guys have crossed the line. Since you guys have massacred Gusu Island, I will massacre the entire Yingzhou Immortal Island. I really want to see how Lu Jiefan is going to give me an explanation. Luosan was very happy. After massacring Gusu Island, he had at least captured 10,000 mortal women. Each of these women had pure souls. He really could not wait to return to the Yingzhou Immortal Island and enjoy this delicious meal. Riding on a flying sword which emitted a blood-red light, Luo Sen was already not far away from the Yingzhou Immortal Island. However, he suddenly felt a little strange. What was strange was why Wang Kuan and Yu Ge had not caught up to him yet. It's just a mortal country. I can't believe it's not over yet. Humph. Wang Kuan always says that I am a despicable person. I think he is the real pervert. What bullshit resentment intent realm? What do you mean I like to torture and kill mortals? I am much more straightforward. I will just give them a quick death. Hee hee. Of course, I will let you guys have a good time after I have played with them. Luo Sen patted the sack which was filled with women on his shoulder and licked his lips. It was a wonderful thing to have sex with 10,000 women in a day. Boom. Suddenly, a loud sound came from the distance behind him. Luo Sen turned around curiously. What he saw scared him so much that his intestines almost fell out. A million miles behind him, there was a purplish-black giant that was at least 30,000 feet tall. It seemed as though it was holding up the sky and the entire island. Stepping on the waves, it approached the Yingzhou Immortal Island. Just a trace of the giant's aura was enough to make Luo Sen feel a sense of crisis. Every step the giant took seemed to be able to cross 90,000 miles of the sea region. When Luo Sen's gaze swept towards the giant's cold gaze suddenly swept towards him. You can't run away. Ice shatter. The giant's empty right fist punched out. In an instant, the sea region within 100,000 miles was frozen. As the ice shattered, a huge force crashed into Luo Sen's back. He cried out in pain and fell off the flying sword. He was so shocked that he wanted to die. Who is this giant? His speed is so fast, and the force of his punch is so strong. Luo Sen's heart trembled with fear. He climbed onto the flying sword again and fled desperately, trying to escape to the Yingzhou Immortal Island before the giant caught up to him. While he was fleeing, he was begging for mercy. There was no other reason. The giant gave Luo Sen a feeling that he was invincible. Fellow Taoist, I have no enmity with you. Why are you chasing after me? Give me a reason. Who do you think you are? Are you qualified to ask me for a reason? The giant laughed coldly towards the sky. His eyes were filled with madness. He was going to trample the Yingzhou Immortal Island while carrying the entire Gusu Island. Chapter 354. Luo Sen leaped onto his sword and fled. The limitless sword beneath his feet flashed with a faint blood-red light. He was clearly only a soul formation intermediate stage cultivator, but his escaping speed could even be compared to a late stage cultivator. However, in front of the giant's terrifying speed, Lawson's speed wasn't even worth mentioning. How is this giant able to move so quickly even though he's carrying an island? Just who is he? Lawson felt his scalp tingle. He recognized at a glance that the island the giant was carrying was Gusu, which he, Wang Kuan, and Yu Ge had previously massacred. Luo Sen's heart skipped a beat. He immediately understood that the purple-armored giant was here to seek revenge. But there was one thing that Lawson could not understand. This purple-armored giant had a shocking cultivation, so why would he be angered by a mere mortal island? No, Lawson didn't know. He only knew one thing, and that was that he had to escape to Yingzhou Immortal Island immediately. As long as he escaped, with the 1 million cultivator army of the Ming Assassins Alliance, he wouldn't need to fear the giants. That purple-scaled giant was none other than Ning Fan's avatar. With the strength of his fleshly body, combined with the 3rd level of Jade Life Realm and the Corpse Devil physique, he could definitely fight against an expert at the 4th level of Jade Life Realm. He could easily conjure a 3,000 zhang tall giant body. Becoming a giant was not his body refinement Dao, but this time, he was angry because of the hundreds of thousands of mortals who died in Gusu. He wanted to become a giant and crush the waves of the endless sea to completely eradicate the Ming Assassins Alliance. In Ning Fan's chest, there was a killing intent that couldn't be vented. It was like thunder that kept exploding in his mind, urging him to kill. He had such a strong killing intent many times in the past. He had annihilated the Green Clan in the Demon's Sinister Forest and wiped out an entire sea in the Star Sea. However, this time was different from the past. In the past, he killed people for grudges, opportunities, and to fight against fate. This time, however, it was different. It was only because of a belief. That faith was a vow to wash away the grievances of the mortals in Gusu. In the past, Ning Fan's heart was filled with killing intent. This time, Ning Fan felt that he could control all of his killing intent freely. He did not have any pity for strangers. He was just a butcher. However, when Ning Fan saw the sad tears in Su Qiling's eyes, the resentful look in little Shida's eyes and the helpless look in Bai Su's eyes, he saw the cultivators who were protecting Gusu self-destructing their bodies for Gusu. Roars of despair and questions of unwillingness rang out. Ning Fan's heart was filled with anger. On Gusu Island, Ning Fan forcefully pieced the broken pieces of land together with his magic power. The flames of war flew everywhere, and half of the city was in ruins. The mortals who had experienced the baptism of blood and fire were filled with terror. They couldn't believe what had happened today. They couldn't believe that young Master Zhou, who had bought the haunted house, had turned into a 3,000 zhang tall giant, carried an island, and walked on the waves. That Uncle Zhou can actually carry an entire island on his shoulders. Is he actually such a powerful immortal being? Each of the children who used to tease Ning Fan had already turned mute from fear. That junior who beat me 12 times in a row is actually a soul formation stage cultivator. Moreover, he's an expert who can instantly kill a soul formation intermediate stage cultivator. Uncle Chi, the chess fanatic, was extremely shocked as he consumed a pill to heal his injuries. My dear niece Qiling. I can't believe your husband is so amazing. Is he going to take revenge for us? Is he going to take revenge for our Gusu? Wang Si swallowed the pill and suppressed his injuries. His bloodshot eyes were filled with excitement. Yes, Big Brother is going to avenge you. Su Qiling wiped away the tears at the corner of her eyes. Little Stone had already fainted. Bai Su was taking care of him while looking at the beautiful woman with complicated feelings. She finally knew that Ning Fan was not a swordsman but a sword cultivator. A sword cultivator who could make ordinary divine transformation realm cultivators tremble in fear. However, Bai Su was not the only one who was shocked. Luo Sen's sword light was extremely fast and it did not cause too much of a commotion. However, Ning Fan, who had turned into a giant and carried an island on his shoulders, would naturally cause terror wherever he went. Gusu only had the northern region of the external Endless Sea, but the Ying Island was located at the easternmost part of the external Endless Sea. Ning Fan transformed into a giant and chased after them. Naturally, he passed by many islands along the way. Even though his speed was inevitably reduced because he was carrying an island on his shoulders, his aura force became much more terrifying. When the rogue cultivators who passed by saw a giant man carrying an island on his shoulders running towards them from the horizon, they would immediately flee in terror. Ta 3000 zhang tall giant. Who is this person? This person's body refinement realm is really strong. Not necessarily. Perhaps this person has used some kind of illusion technique to make his body look gigantic, but the island he is carrying is probably just an illusion. Which madman in this world would carry an island on his shoulders? This person is so murderous. Where is he going? Who is he going to kill? It's Luo Sen. I just saw a streak of light escaping on a sword. It's Lawson. What? Mo Xiao, who was in the top 50 of the Devil Appraisal Board, was in the mid-divine transformation realm. Didn't he join the alliance of Ming assassins? Let's not talk about who this giant is, whether he is an expert or not, and whether he can chase after Luo Sen. Could it be that this giant is trying to provoke the Ming assassin alliance? Doesn't he know that the demon sealing sect is supporting the alliance? The higher one's body refinement realm was, the bigger the giant's body would be. Usually, only an expert at the peak of the soul formation stage could transform into a giant that was 3,000 zhang tall. Of course, there were some secret techniques and treasures that could also allow one's physical body to grow to 3,000 zhang tall, but they were only illusions and had no power. All of the spectating cultivators weren't sure if this giant was an expert at the peak of the soul formation stage or not, and they wanted to catch up to the giant to take a look. However, the giant's cold gaze swept over them, and an indifferent roar rang out like countless rays of sword light sweeping through the heavens. Scram! The giant only said one word, but these old monsters, who were at least at the golden core realm, all felt as if they had been slashed by the sword light. Their golden cores were about to shatter, and their eyes were filled with horror. Such a powerful aura. This person's giant body was not an illusion, but reality. He's an expert at the soul formation pinnacle stage. Sword intent. Not only is his physical body strong, but his sword intent is also invincible. Retreat. Don't get involved with this person. But why do I feel that this person looks familiar? Yes, it's him. This giant and those eyes. I can't be wrong. It's him. Who is it? Zhou Ming. That devil. Zhou Ming is going to attack the Ming Assassins Alliance. He's not just going to kill Luo Senator, he's going to massacre the entire Ing prefecture. Hiss. None of the old monsters were as shocked as they were when they heard the name Zhou Ming. Zhou Ming was a taboo. The reason why people were afraid of him was not because of his high cultivation base, but because once he went crazy, no one could stop him. Purple Yuan Celestial Island, Purple Talisman Sect. Today was the day when the Purple Yuan Sea region would be sealed. All of this was because the old ancestor of the Purple Talisman Sect, Zuotong, was going to cultivate the sea refining talisman that only happened once every 10 years. The seawater of the Purple Yuan Sea region had a special kind of nourishing spiritual qi. It was the best nourishment for cultivators who cultivated talisman secret techniques. The old ancestor of the Purple Talisman Sect, Zuotong's most famous saying was, "A little bit of spiritual light is a talisman." To create talismans, one must have the right drawing method and the spiritual light in one's heart. Every 10 years, the Purple Talisman Sect would seal the sea area within 1,000,000 miles and set up a grand formation to absorb all the spiritual qi in the seawater. This year was no exception. More than 10 nascent Soul Realm elders led groups of Gold Core Realm cultivators and guarded the grand formation carefully, not allowing anyone to enter the Purple Yuan Sea. Unless one was a disciple of the Purple Talisman Sect or had an entry token issued by the Purple Talisman Sect, no one was allowed to pass through this sea area. Dozens of ships were blocked outside the Purple Yuan Sea by groups of experts from the Purple Talisman Sect. Most of the ships that were rejected did not have any background. When they heard that the Purple Talisman Sect sealed the sea area for the Divine Transformation Realm old ancestors to cultivate, no one dared to complain about the Purple Talisman Sect anymore. The Endless Sea was also known as the Cultivation Tomb. It was a place where the strong were respected. If the Divine Transformation Realm old ancestors wanted to use the sea area within 1,000,000 miles for cultivation, it was normal for them to seal the sea area. Forget it. We'll just take a detour. It's just that with our pill treasure ships, it'll take us a few more months to cross the Purple Yuan Sea, many cultivators on the ship sighed inwardly. However, right at this moment, the tsunami-like sound of a giant treading on waves came from the place where the sea and the sky met. Hundreds of thousands of miles away, a purple-armored giant carrying an island could be vaguely seen. With an unstoppable momentum, he rushed towards the Purple Yuan Sea. Due to the distance, no one knew the size of the giant's body. A cultivator with a giant physical body? What's that thing he's carrying? It looks like he's going to rush towards this direction. Who is he? Is he going to rush into the Purple Yuan Sea? Now that the Purple Talisman Sect has sealed the sea area, if this person rushes into the Purple Yuan Sea, he'll definitely affect old ancestors Wutong's cultivation. Won't he offend the Purple Talisman Sect and provoke a fatal calamity? While the cultivators on the ships were discussing, among the Purple Talisman sect elders who were in charge of sealing the sea area, a burly man in hemp garments with a haughty expression took a step forward. He glanced at the giant indifferently and said coldly, "Where are the spirit crossbowmen? Aim at this giant. Once he tries to rush into the Purple Yuan Sea, shoot 10,000 arrows and kill him." "Yes." Immediately, close to 10,000 Purple Talisman sect experts each held a spirit crossbow and aimed at the giant that broke through the sea. The behavior of this burly man in hemp garments was a little too overbearing. Just because the giant might disrupt the cultivation of his sect's old ancestor, he wanted to kill him. However, no one felt that the burly man was wrong. In the endless sea, strength was everything. If your sect also had a divine transformation realm cultivator, naturally, they could also be overbearing and domineering. All the cultivators on the ships looked at the giant that was so far away and felt pity for him. They didn't know who this expert with a giant physical body was. If he recklessly rushed over, he would most likely die. However, after 10 breaths, whether it was the cultivators on the ships or the Purple Talisman sect, their expressions changed drastically. In just 10 breaths, the purple-armored giant crossed hundreds of thousands of miles of the sea area at an unbelievable speed. He treaded on the waves and appeared at the border of the Purple Yuan Sea. Such a speed was truly shocking. When all the cultivators' gazes fell on the giant's 3,000 feet tall body, they all gasped in disbelief. Especially when the giant was carrying an island on his shoulder. 3,000 feet tall. Could this man be a peak divine transformation realm cultivator? What should we do? Should we stop this man from entering the sea? The burly man in hemp garments was shocked. When the giant approached him, just a trace of his aura almost caused his nascent soul to collapse. What kind of expert is this man? He didn't know. The only thing he knew was that he must not provoke this man. He must not shoot any spirit crossbow or attack him. While he was hesitating, a vast aura came from the formation and turned into a purple-robed old man. He stood outside the formation and stared at the giant coldly. His whole body was emitting a vast aura. Early divine transformation realm. This purple-robed old man was obviously the old ancestor of the Purple Talisman sect, Zuotong. He was one of the 13 divine transformation realm cultivators in the outer endless sea. Who are you? Why are you trespassing on my Purple Yuan Sea? I'm Zuotong. I need the help of this sea to cultivate. Please take a detour. Zuotong's words carried the dignity of a divine transformation realm old ancestor. Other than the rare few divine transformation realm experts in the external endless sea, no one would dare to disobey him. As soon as his voice fell, he flicked his sleeves and summoned 12 purple flame talismans. Each of the talismans had the strength of an early divine transformation realm cultivator. If the giant did not take a detour, Zuotong would launch 12 divine transformation realm attacks to eliminate him. Those who stand in my way shall die. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He struck out a gigantic palm. An unimaginably strong force rolled up thousands of waves and turned into a gigantic palm imprint that flew towards Zuotong. At the moment when the palm imprint appeared, Zuotong felt an extreme sense of crisis rising in his heart. He could not summon any will to resist it. Countless hollow space collapsed. Cracks appeared in heaven and earth. The waves of 100,000 li were overturned by this palm imprint. Zuotong's eyes tensed up. The power of this palm imprint could kill him like an ant. Whoosh! Without any hesitation, Zuotong immediately turned into a wisp of smoke and dodged the attack. Just as he was about to dodge the attack, the gigantic palm fiercely struck the sealing sea grand formation. All of a sudden, the area within 1,000,000 li trembled violently. The sound of countless formation eyes collapsing could be heard. In just half a breath's time, countless formation lights of different colors crumbled. Hissed out, a great sense of horror rose in the hearts of countless cultivators, including Zuotong, who was at the divine transformation realm. In order to seal off the purple primordial sea within 1 million li, the Purple Charm sect had set up at least a few hundred nascent realm grand formations and 7 divine transformation realm grand formations. When all the formation lights overlapped, it would not collapse even if it withstood the attack of a mid-divine transformation realm cultivator. However, under the attack of the giant's palm, not a single formation light remained within 1 million li. The giant's cultivation base was already shocking. Moreover, Zuotong could see that the giant was obviously showing mercy to him in that palm attack. Otherwise, Zuotong would definitely not be able to dodge that palm attack. Then, not only the formation light within 1 million li would be destroyed as well. Even his physical body and primordial spirit would be annihilated under that palm attack. Zuotong. Since we've met once, I won't pursue the matter of you attacking me today. However, the next time you attack me with your talisman fire, the purple talisman sect will certainly be annihilated. The giant's indifferent voice carried a terrifying baleful chi. As soon as he opened his mouth, the blood-red baleful chi dyed half of the sky red. Zuotong would never forget that voice even in his dreams. The owner of that voice had once withstood Yan Zhong's palm attack in the Pleasure Devil Immortal Island. 20 years ago, he was unstoppable in the external endless sea and no one dared to provoke him. You are fellow Taoist Zhou Ming. Zuotong was filled with astonishment. This giant is obviously Ning Fan. 20 years ago, Ning Fan was only able to fight against a divine transformation realm cultivator with all his might. That was why Zuotong was slightly afraid of him. 20 years later, Ning Fan had already become so powerful. If he does not show mercy, he could definitely kill Zuotong instantly. The formation light shattered. The sealing order of the purple primordial sea was lifted. The giant stepped on the waves and chased after Luo Senator. As for Zuotong and the other cultivators, they were all stunned on the spot. All of them were unable to calm themselves down. The destruction of the formation light meant that the cultivators on the ship no longer needed to take a detour. They could directly pass through the purple primordial sea. The destruction of the formation light meant that Zuotong's cultivation of condensing talismans in the sea had to end helplessly. Each of the Gold Core Realm and Nascent Soul Realm cultivators found it hard to believe. That purple-armored giant was so strong that he could instantly kill old ancestor Zuotong with a single palm and destroy the formation light of 1 million li. Who is this person? Zuotong was forced to stop his cultivation. However, he did not dare to resent Ning Fan at all. He had sealed the sea area of 1 million li without permission. It was extremely overbearing because he was stronger than others. If he wanted to pass through the purple primordial sea, who would dare to ask him to take a detour? Who would dare to trap him in the sea? At least, Zuotong did not dare to do so. 20 years later, things remained the same, but the people had changed. Zuotong did not even have the qualifications to fight alongside Ning Fan. He sighed continuously in his heart. He no longer had the courage to provoke Ning Fan. O old ancestor, what should we do? The sealing sea grand formation has been destroyed. The spiritual chi has already dispersed. I'm afraid we won't be able to gather spiritual chi for old ancestors' cultivation this year. The old man in hemp robe sighed. Cultivation? What the hell is there to cultivate? This Zhou Ming is filled with killing intent, and he even spoke in a tone that said, those who stand in his way will die. I'm afraid there must be someone who is blind enough to provoke him. He's going to kill them. Judging from the direction, it seems to be the Immortal Island in the Eastern Sea. I'm going there to have a look. If the Immortal Island is destroyed, the forces in the external endless sea will be reshuffled. This is a huge matter. Zuotong felt a chill down his spine when he thought of the destructive power of Ning Fan's palm. Terrifying. It's really too terrifying. The Immortal Island in the Immortal Island really deserves it for provoking Zhou Ming. No matter what, my purple charm sect must never offend Zhou Ming. In the past, old man Dong Xian tricked me into joining the Ming Assassin Alliance. Luckily, I didn't join him. He was really wise. Old man Dong Xian, Your immortal island can't be protected anymore. Because of you, you've provoked a madman. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.